The challenge. It has been an absolute joy and wonder to offer such high value content to further your efforts to build wealth and live a better life. Write down how much money you need or want to live your life. Then create a 10-step plan to achieve it. Go out and conquer, my friends. This is not written down, but since you're in the audiobook, in the back of the book, you will see something called the community, where we do the following challenges. 5-day challenge. Write down your income, goal, list, and begin reading this book as far as possible. 10 days. Aim to read the vision and the knowledge. 30 days. Complete the work. Join the challenge. Execute and take all action needed to achieve success. 90 days. Reread this book. Have you achieved your goal? Why or why not? What did you miss the first time you read this book? 1 year. Reread this book. Have you achieved your goal? Have you achieved your vision? I'll see you again at the end of the book, my friends. The vision. Passion phase. Just because things are alright didn't mean they couldn't be better. The first of the month was quickly approaching, and before rent could be paid, a series of bills were due, ensuring more month at the end of the money. It was the 21st of September, and the past 20 days were HE double hockey sticks. Nothing seemed to go right, and the couple couldn't stop fighting. Love had blinded them from their baggage and issues, especially their financial problems. Amelia came from a family where hard work, multiple jobs, and paying bills came first. The family was happy to sit down together at night. Her father ate at work in the evening or the morning before everyone awoke. The children's only care in the world was hurrying home from school to do their homework, to watch a bit of TV before tucking in for bed. Life was always stable and routine. She never heard her parents complain about bills, only about having no time. Dereck was a born risk taker. His parents divorced when he was in his early teens. Both had their own lives to work through. He learned from his father to earn a living. His father always found a way to provide and earn a living. Yes, both his parents worked stable jobs, but faced the same issues. The department lost funding, the company decided to shut down, or layoffs were necessary to save some other aspect. His father's entrepreneurial spirit seemed to be harshly essential upon discovering there was no security within a job, only dependence or fear. His mother worked the same comfortable job for decades. The older Dereck got, the deeper his parents' ideological opposition became. His father wanted liberty, and his mother wanted more respect. Dereck learned his lessons and moved away from home to find his way in life. Before meeting Amelia, Dereck lived by the seat of his pants. He relied on his wit and charm to find work around campus. When he felt underappreciated, he would quit without warning and find a new job without any complaints. It would be a few weeks or months without a steady income, but he was too busy enjoying life to notice. Money didn't control him, and fear of money wouldn't rule his life. When he was a bachelor new to college, it meant nothing. Living with Amelia, who worked daily, made him feel emasculated and humiliated. They fought endlessly on Dereck, wanting to leave the relationship as quickly as he left home or his jobs. If he knew Amelia loved him, it would likely change. Dereck believed he couldn't allow anyone to ruin his mood or dreams. As much as Dereck cared for them all, they had their own lives to live. They would be fine. He wanted a life he had only seen others live, a life that the bills and poverty made seem 2 lifetimes away. Amelia never understood how he would rather spend his time reading, watching hour-long videos, and working on the computer than going to work or partying. She felt the same pressure from her parents struggling for time together. Dereck has only learned one solution to relationship issues. So with every argument, Dereck packed a bag to leave off on another adventure to add to his experience. He wasn't his father or mother. The solution wasn't for him anymore. He was only here because he wanted new answers to an age-old problem. Amelia only wanted him to get a typical job so they were guaranteed to handle their bills. Dereck wanted her to open her mind to other reliable streams of income. Dereck didn't believe his career helped much. She buried him in job applications for minimum wage jobs. In response, she showed her videos and books about entrepreneurship. Dereck said a job could do nothing for him. He felt Amelia had no value or respect for him without a job. Amelia couldn't wrap her head around finding time to spend her paycheck or starting a business with a 50% chance of failing to gain experience. Their fighting never reached any fruition, thus, their financial issues worsened. The first of the month passed, and they weren't on speaking terms to strategize paying bills or talking with their landlord. The first late payment passed. Dereck had been learning from all the resources at his disposal. He built outside in college at the library or found money through odd jobs using the skills. He refused to tell Amelia, believing that she didn't even deserve his time if she couldn't love him for him. All the bill collectors called. He would reluctantly offer to cover half. When his manhood was brought into question by the bill collectors, he would pay the total amount. It was killing him and his savings. Amelia would be speechless, crossed between anger and surprise. Their life became her screaming at him as he glared at her in resentment. Dereck would slap hundreds of dollars in her hand before disappearing. When he engaged her, the fights would worsen, getting into dark personal territory for them both, leading to more distance and secrets until Dereck stopped coming home for days. It was the 20th of October, and Amelia couldn't think about him without anger, sadness, disappointment, and dread. The last they spoke, he had only given her $150 because she spent the day telling him he was lazy, asking how could he sit around and watch her struggle. It was the first time he made it out the door with his bags in his hands. Amelia was furious. She didn't know how he got the money or if he was gone for good. Amelia had the apartment to herself as the 1st of December approached. She packed her bags after seeing the eviction notice from the late fees they accrued and never paid off. The property manager didn't care how unfair it seemed. The property manager thought it was unfair they never paid on time. Amelia agreed in shame. Amelia was intent on getting over debt. She went to work with a brave face as she alerted them that she was single. She needed a new roommate or apartment and enjoyed how the men who previously kept their distance had gotten even friendlier, flirting with her and offering Amelia drinks after work to come back to their apartment. None seemed to acknowledge ignoring her for the past months. None seemed interested in getting to know her or moving in with them. They only wanted her treasure and dignity, ignorant that she had some self-respect. Dereck had been staying at a friend's place as he applied his studies in a significant crash course called Reality. He was notified about the eviction. Dereck watched video after video. He could thrive but refused to allow Amelia to live for 7 years, unable to rent or buy a home because of his eviction. Dereck had an unquenchable drive. Failure and setbacks only made him more game. Unbeknownst to Amelia, the dream wasn't to lie around doing nothing all day, but to never have to live under someone's thumb or authority other than his own. He wanted his own business, homes, and multiple streams of income. He hated seeing his parents place money at the center of their lives, sacrificing everything else. The generational curses of his forefathers were wreaking havoc on his life today. Dereck's childhood used to confuse him greatly. He never understood why his parents wanted to keep up with the Joneses despite their financial issues. They wanted to appear rich rather than being wealthy. He was alone. He could shrug off this burden of eviction. With Amelia all alone, he felt compelled to stand his ground and fix it. With every passing day, he wanted a life free from financial worry even more. The only question was how. He learned at a young age that a job would prevent him from paying all his bills. Being a mule led by a rotten apple would take too long. He would never get a paycheck that reflected his effort. Whenever Dereck worked overtime, his extra earnings were devoured by an unforeseeable expense, bills, or a night out. He didn't see any way to overcome this situation or his dreams. Dereck hated that his life was consumed by financial worry, dread, and arguments like his parents. He hated even more how his entire life was doomed to work endlessly, and even still, he didn't have enough for what he needed. He had given away the $150 he earned raking lawns for his LLC to help Amelia out of resentment. It didn't matter. He had to start his business plan regardless. He hustled, walking to every nearby business offering his technical services. The age of digital marketing wasn't entirely convincing for the small town hosting their college. They didn't want websites, search engine optimization, or social media marketing. Every day he embraced failure and it dug deeper under his skin. All these businesses saw were young kids. Some treated Dereck as a swindler, trying to separate them from their hard-earned dollars with promises, not results. His war seemed to become internal, a war against his mentality and perspective of self. He fought their doubts in him and the present technology shaping the world. Dereck knew the value of these classes he invested in and the high income skills he developed. Carrying little but the clothes on your back without a shave led his pitches to seem like nearly begging for sympathy after a time. He finally found one client who took a shot on him, wanting him to hand out their flyers instead of his digital marketing pitch. Dereck seemed to have a knack for direct marketing. He'd abandoned his failing business idea to adjust to passing out flyers for 15 cents a handbill, leaving his business dreams to earn as much as possible. He turned 15 cents a flyer into $50 to $60 daily. Those businesses that rejected him saw the young man hustling around town promoting other companies with a bright smile and charisma, wanted him to spread their brand as well. He pivoted his concept quickly, leveraging his direct marketing skills and buying rubber bands to create advertising bundles. He had quickly earned $150 a day, then up to $180, then $250 daily. His friend only wanted $200 if he stayed a whole month. He needed $500 minimum to stop the eviction, matched with Amelia's check, and $1,300 to set the account back to even. He got to budgeting and strategizing for the next 5 days. He had to push harder than ever before. The restaurants that picked up his services paid him partially in food to reduce their cash expense. Once his roommate saw the plan, he wanted to quit his job and join in. Dereck, however, advised against it. Now seeing the dark side of entrepreneurship, it was no longer something for everyone to do. It was far from an easy route, and he missed the comfort of working only 5 hours a few days a week, virtually doing nothing, with a guaranteed paycheck at the end of the week. It was, however, everything he wanted. It was pure liberty, but the trade-off was in his last 5 days. There was a day he made nothing at all, because he had reached everywhere in the area and was told he needed to allow time to see the fruits of his labor. He was given a slight bonus or parting gifts from his clients before needing to wait a week or two before continuing. Then it was back to figuring out the next move and gathering income. Dereck had changed. Externally, his sneakers were beginning to speak out their heels, and his jeans were stained, ripped and tearing between his thighs and at the cuffs. His t-shirt had caked up under his armpits and around his neck, leaving a horrid odor. Internally, he had transformed entirely. He was getting close to the brink and days away from true homelessness. Forcing himself out of bed left him without his easygoing smile, but a stockpile of charisma. He no longer woke up with a withered smile, but with the ambition of a farmer waking up to till his wheat and sow seeds. Dereck had lost his dependence on mood or energy. If he didn't walk his beat, then he didn't eat. Professionalism carried him through his day. If he couldn't close deals or generate leads, then he was stuck in the same place without stability or a steady check. He felt like a hunter far from home. Most importantly, he didn't believe there was anyone left to blame but himself. Amelia had heard about what he did through a coworker who said he was begging for money, teasing and insulting her ex to grow closer to Amelia. He told her how he was homeless and desperate. This made her suitors even more energetic, taking Amelia to parties and hanging out at all hours of the night in hope of getting lucky. Their favorite topic was insulting Dereck for being homeless in his desperation after losing Amelia. They didn't know Dereck stayed in a home with his own room, earning more money than their manager. Derek's previous disconnect manifested physically in his lifestyle. No one could understand, and no one wanted to emulate him. Waking up to work in the morning was Derek's ultimate trial to overcome, and the nights proved to be a battlefield for Amelia's virtue. On the 29th, Amelia was told she had a visitor at work by a disgruntled male employee. It was Dereck, sitting at the bar of the restaurant drinking ice water. He heard the whispers and rumors himself, but paid the bewildered herd no mind. His beard had grown in, small patches of stubble a simple shave could fix, but he refused to clean up for anyone but himself in his own time. His clothes were falling off his body from the weight he had lost. Amelia was disgusted by their condition. In his hand, he was clinging to his dream and hard-earned money. He spent none of it. Eating a plate of fries the bartender brought him after seeing the money in his hands. Amelia's immediate reaction was to plead for him to return that night and to end this drama, to end the month by her side and let the property managers try their best to kick them out. Instead, he gave her $500, saying, "I have no room for dream killers or gossip in my life anymore. The bartender told me about your new boyfriends." Amelia was enraged at him for rejecting her after all this time. She wanted to refuse the money, Work had been slow. Her hours were cut because she didn't want to sleep around with her coworkers who began spreading rumors about her regardless. Her boss thought it was best she figured out her housing and relationship because of the Her boss thought it was best she figured out her housing and relationship because of the dip in her performance and focus. She wanted to fight back with pride. Sadly, earlier that day, she got the smallest paycheck since starting to work. Not to mention, the only men who offered to help wanted far more in return than she would ever give. Dereck wanted nothing but her trust and respect. Despite everyone against him, he still came through, without complaint or asking for anything in return. In her heart, soul, and mind, she was still Dereck's. It hurt to hear he would rather live as a vagabond than be loved by her. But what love was left when he originally left due to their fighting? They would need to rebuild their entire relationship to continue. At least the apartment was safe. She lamented as she finished her shift. Amelia couldn't rest the entire night thinking of the money Dereck gave her, the empty bed she lay in. At least all the other offers came with company, not a point to prove. She wondered if she should even bother using his money if he wasn't going to live with her. It'd only be another month until she faced the same burden. She called him, demanding he tells her how he got the money as if that was her true concern. She was surprised he answered. She was astounded as Dereck explained everything he had been doing since the 20th. Amelia apologized for believing he was lazy or had become a beggar. She finally saw he was only trying to be himself, doing anything to feel free and in control of his own life. It took too much convincing, but he eventually returned home. She finally saw he was only trying to be himself, doing anything to feel free and in control of his own life. It took much more convincing, but he eventually returned home. Dereck came back by the dawn. By morning time, he had showered, shaved, washed his clothes, and put on a fresh pair of clothes from what he had left behind. They made love until sunrise, and Amelia made breakfast. As he ate his eggs, pancakes, and beef bacon, his usual jokes and glimmer were absent. It had only been a little over a week, but Amelia noticed he wasn't himself. Time passed by, and she began to notice the difference. He had a deeper coldness masking a burning ambition, even after being doused by another failing business idea. His clients simply no longer needed his services. He had done great, they said, and with those compliments, his earnings were set back to zero. He needed to start over again because the market dried up. Dereck had started a business and the rent was paid for 2 months. Bills were paid off, and food was in the fridge, yet he couldn't enjoy it. He had no delight or energy. His stagnant financial situation caused exhaustion, depression, and fear. He achieved his dream, but his inner man had never been healed or addressed. Dereck had more money in his bank than ever before, waiting to be used, yet he had never had any joy. He believed having enough money or having a business would solve his life. It only exaggerated all his flaws and insecurities. Amelia would find him filling out applications with delight, leaving for an interview only to return with even greater resentment and defeat. His greatest experience was as an independent entrepreneur. He was labeled as overqualified or unhireable. Dereck had withdrawn from Amelia completely, unable to discuss his humiliation and frustration with his recent failures, especially not his success. Dereck could outright avoid her, quickly leaving the house when she would return from work. Amelia was devastated that the man she loved had grown so hateful and angry. Their financial struggles stripped him of his innocence, joy, and will for quality time. Falling in love seemed to have happened so long ago, and maintaining it was a Herculean effort all its own. Amelia couldn't understand how Dereck's heart had grown so cold. His business efforts dried up and depression consumed him. He would use the money he had left on smoking and drinking to get loaded daily, trying to hide his pain from Amelia and how deeply he's grown to resent himself. None of his former friends would speak to him about those rumors. The only time he seemed happy was after a few beers or blunts. He hadn't even unpacked his bag since he returned a couple weeks ago. He had given up avoiding Amelia to her delight. By her dismay, he had given up on studying financial literacy and skill building. The drugs had him now. Amelia had become an emotional wreck around the house. She longed for Dereck, but hated him for slowly killing himself. She wished she had never asked him to return home to be miserable. As the new year approached, she feared asking him for the money. Their emotions were so volatile, everything turned into a fight, bringing out the worst in them both. All Dereck wanted was to feel needed, to be seen as a provider. Amelia needed to feel wanted and to support him. It's how they both felt in their hearts, but their flesh and egos refused to budge, to speak, to love, or to see the other doing the best a human being is capable of handling the situation they found themselves in. The relationship had all but dissolved entirely. They held themselves together purely based on what could have been and what once had been. Things as they currently were could easily destroy everything the two lovers had built. Only love can bring out such monsters and passion. Thought phase. Dereck was self-motivated and hated being told what to do. Despite his anger, he stayed on top of his chores, cooked on the days Amelia worked, and kept to his studies. He was acting noticeably more introverted toward everyone in the circle. Rumors were floating. He was homeless and begging for money, which made him refrain from traveling out of the apartment he paid the account on. Amelia still loved him deeply, but was terrified of showing him. She saw the signs he would leave again and kept from speaking her mind in hopes he would stay. She walked on eggshells to avoid him entirely to prevent fights. Deep down, Dereck wanted nothing more than for her to show interest in him. The less she did, the more distant he became. They were at an impasse, and the days ticked until their bills were due again. It was the 15th of January. Amelia had gotten extra shifts to avoid being home alone in silence. People asked about Dereck, and she told them he was never homeless and made great money. She defended him with her every breath when he was away, but never spoke to him directly. The men who once flirted with her backed off, seeing the grizzled and hardened Dereck picking Amelia up from work, wanting no part of his rage. In truth, Dereck had fallen into a deep depression and drug abuse. He might have fallen into alcoholism, but he didn't like feeling drunk. He felt like he had lost his dream of true business ownership. He filled up applications for the work available in town. To keep his budget, he worked nights, cleaning floors, buffering, and mopping. He only earned $8 an hour, but no one else would hire him. His boss was a local business owner who said, "There's money out there, but people don't want to work." Dereck would be away at the night for 10 hours, returning at 4 to 7 a.m. However, he wasn't paid for the 3 to 5 hours of travel. On a given night, he only earned 5 to 7 hours for his time. Exhausted from his classes and hangovers, he was terrified of what his life could become on this path. He had no time left for himself, not unless he had given up the drugs, which he had felt was the only thing keeping him functioning at all. Dereck had machinations of Amelia cheating on him with her coworkers, replaying the rumors from his so-called friends who questioned his success, and the pressures of bills kept him on edge. The prospect of working underneath someone until he died took away his will to live. Filling out job applications, doing his chores, and his online classes were all he could do to feel like a man, to feel human with some control over his fate. He cut back on his drinking, but his smoking felt like his only solace. Whenever Amelia came home, he smelled of whiskey and Everclear. She went straight to the bedroom and locked the door. It broke his heart every day. His mind drifted between suicide and business ideas. When he didn't have any drugs, his lost will to live was obvious, not wanting to participate in his loveless relationship or speak about his broken dreams. Amelia came home one day to find him writing a letter. Tears fell down his face from the ruminations. She felt everything inside her from speaking to him, turning up her nose and locking the bedroom door behind her as she did every day. It was all Dereck could take as he finished his letter, his last will and testament. He tried his last chance at communicating with Amelia, knowing he had no longer wanted to live. She refused to come to the door, screaming at him from the other side. Dereck was a heavy-set man with the power to kick the door in as he had done earlier in their relationship. He had no more energy for rage or arguments. All he felt was pain anymore. He took his belt from around his waist, knowing the ceiling wouldn't support his weight. He returned to the living room, sitting on his knees, turning up the TV as he wrapped the belt around his neck, clasping it tightly with no room for his fingers to even create air between his skin and the leather. He felt his heart beating out of his chest as his fear response sparked, telling him to stop. He swore against this cowardice, feeling death was better than living as a failure. He wrapped the belt around his fist as his body began to convulse, gagging as it fought for life. He could no longer hear the TV, the birds chirping outside, or Amelia screaming from the other room to turn down the TV. His skull felt like it would pop as the blood swelled to his head. He attempted to take his last breath but collapsed on the floor as his heart slowed down to a stop. Amelia ran out to yell at him for all the noise. To her shock, he was passed out, blood trickling from his mouth, nose, and eyes and ears. She cried mournfully over him, crying 911 in a hysterical panic, crying over his motionless body until the paramedics arrived. While loading him up, they found the suicide letter by his body. He was unconscious but not dead. They resuscitated him in the ambulance, and in the hospital they treated his internal bleeding to the best of their ability. All he could do is recover now. All he could do to recover now was rest up and sober up. When Dereck awoke at the hospital, he was bewildered and enraged. He refused all guests. His friends, his family, and Amelia sat in the waiting room, praying he would change his mind. They didn't understand what they had done, but Amelia had read the letter, unsure when to bring it up. January 15th. To you traitors. You're all probably relieved. Finally, I quit dreaming, and you can all say I told you so amongst yourselves. Yuck it up, because I would rather die than live as a debt slave like you all. I had amazing ideas that could change the world, but you all refused to support me or even listen to what I had to say. I can't do it alone, and I won't live struggling to be around people who don't believe in me. I hate this world of debts, bills, and barely enough. I hate how you all keep trying to justify it and go along like sheep doing nothing to put an end to the suffering on this planet. So be happy, rejoice, and burn everything I ever owned in a bonfire. You will get none of it at all. You should have helped me when you had a chance. Now I'm gone. Laugh it up and party hardy because my dream is dead, and you each hold a knife covered in its blood. None of you even cared to listen to me. Fuck you. Dereck and Amelia. After his father tearfully and reluctantly read the letter out loud, he wore a stern face. He only wanted his son to be stable and apply himself. His mother was hysterical, could barely breathe, knowing her baby boy could feel such a way. A few others left out of guilt, feeling responsible as deeply as they removed themselves from Dereck's life for good. Amelia had shut down, completely unable to function, answer questions, or process her reality. All Amelia could think about was how she let her pride nearly kill the love of her life, how she turned her heart off to live with him. The primary doctor came to the waiting room to inform Dereck's parents and Amelia that the boy had fallen asleep. Though it was unorthodox, it might be the only time for them to see him. Only his parents went. Amelia was offered, but she felt so guilty. Why couldn't she trust him and love him? Now he was near death, but at least he was alive. There had to be time, right? Amelia picked herself up, going after his parents. His father helped her stay standing, but his mother refused to speak or even look at Amelia. The belt strap had dug so deep into his neck and left scars, making it difficult to sleep. When they arrived, Dereck had been half awake. The immense pain kept him in and out of consciousness. He heard them come into the room, but was too weak to scream, cursed them. Or called the nurse to remove them. His anger, pain, and feelings of rejection paralyzed him, bubbling up inside him. It was palpable, so none of them touched his body. Happy he was alive, then backed away. Afraid he would do something drastic in his anger. More afraid of how deeply his words would cut after reading the brief letter. They sat around the room, the people who should have been closest to Dereck, realizing they hadn't been involved in his life at all for the past several months. None of them knew how he felt. The letter added no clarity. What happened? His father finally asked Amelia. Amelia looked up at his mother, afraid to speak out. It's okay. I'll get to his side when he wakes up, and hopefully he'll calm down. I've never known he was so upset ever. He was always a happy kid. Did you two get into a fight? He asked. We weren't speaking. We had been fighting every day for months. He moved out for a week, I begged him to come back, but I felt like he hated me. We didn't speak or sleep together anymore. I would just yell at him or avoid him. Then this. How could you ignore him? You're the only one he had. His mother was frenzied. I know. I was afraid he would leave me again. Amelia began shutting down again. His mother wanted to rail into her, but wouldn't waste time. She had always been very hard on Dereck for not working regularly. He often came to her with ideas, and she shot them all down before he had a chance to finish. She wasn't interested in anything other than him finishing school and getting a job. Instead, he kept trying new ideas, refusing to be dissuaded and growing more distant as he grew older. She saw no harm in trying to get her son to fly straight. His mother never knew how deeply he truly felt about his dreams. how ignoring her son made him feel all these years. My son. My son. His father began, but covered his eyes as tears fell. His father wished he had gotten closer to his son, but he was trapped in his own rat race, recovering from his divorce the best way he knew how. He felt he lost his family when he left. He had no idea how much his son still needed him. He had no idea how his son was chasing in his footsteps. Dereck had a long road to recovery. His neck would heal, but his doctors thought his emotional state was fragile. He had to spend at least a month under maximum surveillance as his physical recovery enabled him to try taking his life 2 more times. He was moved to a psych ward for observation. The orderlies often caught him crying for hours in his room. He refused his medications. He made cryptic jokes about jumping out the window or morbid proclamations he wouldn't leave the loony bin alive. He played with most of his therapists until the head psychologist returned. A hard and logical, detached old man named Alistair Huxley, an atheist man fascinated with death and suicide. Dereck was a shock to him. How could a man with such vigor and health desire death? He was a phenomenon to Dr. Huxley, a mystery the old man had to understand. Their first meeting was as follows. Mr. Hoffman, is it? Death is quite final. Some believe in the afterlife. I'm not one of those convinced. I know I have this life alone, at least. Do you believe in afterlife? Is that why you're rushing so quickly out of this one? Dr. Huxley had a sinister grin and no sympathy. How about you mind your damn business if none of you think I can own one? Dereck scoffed, returning to the same apathy. Dr. Huxley was taken aback, cleaning off his glasses before putting them back on. He stared at a defiant young man who stared at him with analytical eyes. The boy was barely halfway through his 20s, filled with energy, quiet, and studying the doctor. You are my business until I no longer deem you a danger to yourself or others, Dr. Huxley finally responded. Humbug, Dereck rolled his eyes. Young man, why? I've done nothing to you. We're just meeting. Dr. Huxley began to take offense. You're all the same. You want what you want from me. It's all for your ego and comfort, not mine. You want to break me down, make me feel crazy or worse. You feed off this beast system like a leech. I don't want the beast system. I want liberty and my own business. And if I can't work for myself, I would rather die. What type of life can be lived working paycheck to paycheck? You blame me, you blame my generation for being born into this horrendous situation your generation created. Slavery was already wrong, right? Then why should I live in wage slavery for the rest of my life? You're the crazy one, old man. Dereck expressed it from the bottom of his heart. Dr. Huxley was intrigued, rubbing his naked chin as he waited for the man a third of his age to stop breathing fire. Owning your own business doesn't mean you won't live paycheck to paycheck. You'll have greater struggles in business than a job can ever offer. Struggles most people are not equipped to handle without the inevitable failure and personal compromise. Why would a suicidal man embark on a pathway of stress? I am not suicidal. Dereck crossed his arms, looking away. Nor are you quite old enough to fully be considered a man. My question still stands. Why would someone who would kill themselves want a business? Dr. Huxley hoped Dereck could understand why he had asked. If you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe, then success will be as natural as the air. Dereck recited from one of his favorite motivational videos. So, you strangled yourself with your own belt. Past the point when the brain's natural response is to stop for success, correct? Dr. Huxley read with the files in front of him, looking at the gruesome intake photos. I didn't die, did I? I'd either jump off the building or be a successful businessman. Dereck was convicted. Be successful if your backup plan is to kill yourself. I'll keep you in a padded room until you're as old as me, If it keeps you alive, Mr. Hoffman. Dr. Huxley lamented. The doctor had to admit he was swayed by the youthful thrill and dream, but he couldn't ignore how unhealthy and misguided Dereck had become. The boy had all the drive in the world, but his desire lacked any reality of how difficult his dream truly was to achieve. There would still be so much hardship to undergo to reach where he wanted to go. The idea wasn't out of reach, but the boy would need to be alive for at least 2 to 5 decades before he saw the results he wanted. Not to mention those first 5 years he would need to be performing at his highest level. A business was not guaranteed to stay afloat. It was a massive risk. A business was another method, a good method, but it didn't replace a job. He would own a job without knowing if he'll ever be paid. Huxley kept this to himself instead of sharing. This wasn't a session to argue. Can I help you plan your business? Dr. Huxley took a fresh notebook from his desk and opened it up to the first page. He wrote Dereck's name on the cover and handed it to the boy. I trust you not to stab yourself with the pen. Dereck gulped, unable to respond. His temper had disappeared, having no idea how to feel. Dereck nearly broke down into tears, but fought them in silence before the old man. No one had ever offered to help him before. They wanted success without effort. Dr. Huxley had never heard someone so convicted it drove them to insanity. It was a rough road ahead. The doctor had to be patient, eliciting information from Dereck about his life, his family, and Amelia as they focused primarily on creating a plan of action. There was a futile effort trying to get any deeper into Dereck's mind. Their sessions centered on creating a business plan and giving Dereck a concrete sense of reality for his vision. It doubled as a 5-year plan to give Dereck guidance. In a couple of weeks, Dereck was thanking Dr. Huxley, returning to his childlike wonder about his life and business. Dr. Huxley, in turn, had grown attached to the young man. He appreciated how genuine and ambitious Dereck had been. However, the cynical old man had more to teach Dereck. Some things about the reality he knew Dereck would struggle to accept. This is quite possibly the finest business plan I've ever witnessed. I've seen hundreds, enough to know at the end of the day, it's still only a plan. I know, Doc. Please, let me finish. I know you are excited, and at times, your confidence exceeds your ability. I've seen 75 of those plans make it past the idea phase in any capacity. Afterward, only 5 succeeded and still have their business. So 25 dropped off from the jump, and 70 more couldn't hack it. I'm the 101. I'm a different story, Doc. I believe you're certainly in the top 5 percentile. However, if a man will kill himself if he fails and never persevere to fix his mistakes, if he is like you and attempts to deny reality too, in turn, deny responsibility or obvious care for his own life as a first resort, not a last one, how will he ever receive the needed critique and outright rejection inevitable on a daily basis in business? Dr. Huxley had a grim disposition. You got me all wrong, Doc. I had a business before I got here. I made it work. I dealt with rejection, criticism, and failure. I did it all for my girlfriend. People kept telling me she was cheating on me, all the guys who wanted her, and I fought harder because of it. Then when I finally won, I paid off our rent, I came home, and we had a chance to make things work. She wanted to do nothing but argue. The things she said haunted me. The fears of losing her and that I had wasted so much trying to open her eyes. I was sitting in the apartment. I felt useless. The person I did it all for didn't care, didn't approve, and refused to help me. She avoided me. We fought endlessly. My business dried up for sure, but it wasn't anything I couldn't fix. My parents hardly talked to me. I think the hospital was the first time I'd seen them all year. I wanted to stop existing because it didn't feel like there was anything left. I don't want to die, Doc. I just couldn't imagine getting through the rest of college, my relationship, or trying to rebuild things with my family after I strayed so far from them. I can't live like them, bro. Dr. Huxley had nearly spit out his coffee. Oh, young boy. Oh, boy. Young love, so toxic and tumultuous, yet innocent and pure. This was all for a girl? I feel guilty not telling you, but I also feel embarrassed. If it was any other girl, I couldn't care less what she thought of me. I love Amelia, apparently more than life itself. My family accepted that they were messed up. Amelia seemed to solve everything. Hearing her say those things to me destroyed me. Dereck began to cry, and he hadn't heard from his family or Amelia since entering the asylum's care. Suddenly, the resentment had fled his body. The hope of rubbing his success in everyone's face muted him, muted his emotions. He hoped he would power through, but he felt alone. Dr. Huxley often spoke about how important a successful support system was for anyone pushing against the grain. Do you have any friends left after your arrogance abducted your life? Dr. Huxley asked if he was asking his younger self. Dereck shook his head, letting the few tears that managed to escape his armor harp trickle down into his business plan. I suggest you do something I was too afraid to do at your age. Something that is too late to do at my current age. Write down the names of 15 people at least. Call them and ask for the support. The ones who you struggle to speak with, who refuse to listen to your story, will likely be of no use to you. However, it might surprise you who have been waiting to help you. Especially this Amelia. He sang her name, giving Dereck a wink. It's her fault I'm here. I just told you that, Dereck growled. It's your fault you're here. She's the reason you're alive, no. Unless you managed to call the ambulance while unconscious, you need to give her more credit. Even if you do hold her responsible, do you not deserve more from her? Then be a man and ask her for it, Dr. Huxley enforced. Thank you, Doc. Dereck nodded, preparing to leave after hearing the needed action. There's far more we must discuss that will surely upset you and your delusions of success. I'm not done. Please sit unless you've had enough. Let's say you're ready to take things to the action phase. It takes healthy people persisting over 2 to 3 years at their wits' end to finally reach their business goal. That's if they work on things full time. 3 years without wasting their time and effort on busy work and for the sick satisfaction of pseudo-success. Most don't realize the futile time they spend wondering why they cannot pay their bills. Why? They only worked part-time for 5 years for all their time. They tell themselves they are busy. They don't work for results. You cannot eat your dreams or personality. You will need a job. Even I have a career despite owning many businesses. You need a formal education to fall back upon, return to college, even online, or going to trade school might help someone like you. A support system is wonderful. However, you must support yourself. Even God himself cannot help you if you refuse to help yourself. And sadly, most people never help themselves. A business is a good long-term plan. You need to survive in the meantime, in the midterm. Having a good job is an irreplaceable source of income. This is what enables you to create resplendent success. Dr. Huxley gave his sermon, standing by the end of it, staring in rage and reflection of his younger self. You wasted all that time to take me in a loop, Dereck growled, matching him eye to eye. You young fool. You believe it's I'm on the loop? I've lived my life and achieved my success. You are neither seeing nor feeling anything new for 10,000 years before you were even conceived. No one on this planet likes working for a living. No one liked running from predators, hiding in caves, or walking miles for refuge or water either. That's why we have jobs, civilization, and this system everyone tries desperately to escape with drugs, crime, and suicide. However, people find careers they love with some education and ways to be of service to their community. But most complain about a meaningless job. You will struggle to have a business if you can't commit to a single relationship, a 4-year degree, or a full-time job. These build character, skills, resilience, expertise, and reputation. Everything that you need to be successful. Most importantly, it teaches you how to discuss your issues with people who feel as you do. Even if they won't do what you do, which is having a business but taking their own life because of how they feel. You can be as angry or heartbroken as you wish, like the rest of us waking up every morning to go to work or to raise children. Your perspective, your ideas, your ways, and your impatience will kill you. You must see the light or I cannot release you. I gave you a 5-year plan, which is wonderful. That's the easy part. You can be here for 5 years if it's successful. Or death. Will you be alive in 5 years? Or would you have attempted on your life too soon to know? I want to see you succeed. Hell, you can even rely on God if you can't rely on yourself. There's no point to any of this if you don't see bettering yourself as your only true option. You cannot succeed if you don't even want to breathe. That's your example, no? Dr. Huxley fondly saw the mirror fade away, wiping away the perspiration of passion from his brow, hoping he had finally cured Dereck. Instead, he felt he was meeting himself for the first time. Dereck felt defeated. He fell back in his seat and the depression consumed him again. All the trust he had for Dr. Huxley was in question. He felt trapped and lost again. He cried, running out of Dr. Huxley's office back to his room. He cried into the sunset. He cried until he was exhausted, unsure why he was shedding tears at this point. He never disliked his job or life. He just felt he needed to do more to survive. Yet there was no more to be done. He had become so alone and isolated for no reason. His pain was immense, being in this world but not of it. Yet he didn't abandon his friends for God, but instead for his own deluded ego. Dereck humbled himself, clasping his hands and speaking to the God above bar below, hoping his pleas reached. Please help me. Please help me, God. Dereck pleaded in his final act of desperation. A force told him to rest, so he surrendered to sleep. Even playing sports, he never knew such exhaustion. Near death, his emotions were so volatile and bitter like poison. 12 hours had passed before he awoke refreshed. Dereck felt renewed and at a total peace with his life. He looked around the asylum bedroom he's called home for a month, feeling as though his prayer had been answered, able to accept it all. Everything the doctor said is truth. If the doctor lied, he would be able to fight it back, and he knew he didn't belong. He lay back in his bed, able to finally feel a part of the human experiment. He wasn't alone. He was vocal about a world everyone wanted to deny. No, he had seen what the doctor said every day. When he slept, he had dreams of his family, Amelia, and his old friends back from his freshman year. They didn't resent him. Dereck was the only one able to say what they had all felt and felt forced to live. Dereck thought he could escape, but there was nothing to escape. There was no one against him. No matter what, you had to live on this planet until you died. You choose how you live. You choose your job. You choose to be educated or not. You choose to complain or obey. Yet few chose the path to freedom the doctor had written. 5 years and he could be free if only he compromised only to fate and God. Dereck looked over the business plan a few more times before falling back to sleep for a few more hours. He woke in time for breakfast, eating every bite as if it was his first day on Earth. He no longer saw crazy people, and he saw people like himself who couldn't see or accept fate. These were once all innocent children who reality broke over its knee. How did someone turn out when the simple world they once knew slowly dissolved into this broken system humanity had sacrificed for sin thousands of years ago? These were the victims of the insanity ordinary people lived in every day. They needed help that may not exist on this planet. They needed compassion that had fled Earth after Rome, Babylon, and Britannia. Action phase. Amelia could no longer care whether or not Dereck hated her. She came to visit him without notice. As she waited, she saw a man who looked like Dereck sweeping the lobby. He wore headphones, humming to one of Dereck's favorite songs, but his energy seemed so foreign. He wasn't dressed as an orderly or patient. Instead, he wore normal jeans, running shoes, and a baseball cap, and looked as if he had been working out for a month since his suicide attempt. She had been faithful up until then, watching the man move across the entire room with such focus and mastery of the broom. Amelia had rarely seen a man so engulfed in what he was doing. There was such a simple peace to the man's presence that calmed her heart, until a nurse approached the man, tapping his shoulder and then pointing to Amelia. Her jaw dropped, seeing the man who had such peace and joy was her Dereck of all people. "How are you?" Dereck asked him across the room while taking off his headphones. "Dereck!" Amelia cried out, running to embrace him. Dereck was caught off guard by her presence. He had felt unprepared as she squeezed him, feeling his muscled arms. "I thought we had mountains to climb before you wanted to speak to me again." God moved our mountains and turned the distance to speed bumps. He wrapped an arm around Amelia. They kissed while he lifted her off the ground. "I'm so sorry you thought I was angry at you. I thought you hated me," Amelia blushes. Well, if I made any sense, I wouldn't be in therapy, right? He joked lightly. Why are you sweeping? She asked. Dereck rolled his eyes, muttering under his breath and kicking the broom away. What? Amelia asked, sincerely cupping her ear. She told herself she would listen this time. He repeated even lower, kneeling down to pick up the broom with more care, holding it to his chest. Dereck, I'm trying my best, but I cannot understand what you're saying, Amelia whined. I said it's my job. The doc gave me a job to get me over my hang-ups. It's like reality and therapy together. You happy now? He groaned, hoping he would know. I'm only happy you're all right. I don't care whether or not you have a job as long as you're not doing anything illegal to make money. Do you think I'm happy you're here? I miss you. I thought you hated me the entire time. Not sitting in Zen like you discovered you're in a piece or something. Tears began falling from Amelia's eyes as she innocently gazed at him. Well, I thought you had cheated on me before, if not while I was in here. I feel like a jackass now. He slapped his forehead. That's what this was all about? I would never do that, Dereck. I'm not that type of girl, Amelia cried out, wanting to smack him. Well, not specifically cheating on me. You never spoke to me anymore. I thought you had left me because of my job and depression. You came home, then you would lock yourself in the room. You wouldn't even look at me. Dereck explained, remembering the days before trying to strangle himself. Whenever I did, we would fight. You looked so hurt whenever I wouldn't support you, Amelia expressed. Dereck grew quiet, clutching his broom tight. Well, I guess I did hate you for a while. You hurt me so badly, it's not healthy, but only your opinion mattered to me. I had to be diagnosed as crazy for my ambitions. You wouldn't even try to understand me, Amelia. I only wanted us to start a business together. I thought it would help us focus on a life outside of money and have more time for what mattered. You didn't care at all. You shut me out completely and made me do it alone, even after my business idea saved our apartment. I'm sorry, you're completely right. I didn't want to understand it, honestly. I don't know how to deal with all this like you. Amelia was hoping he would hug her. The distance between them felt so cold. I'm not dealing with it. I tried to kill myself. It's my first time living just like you and everyone else. Dereck bowed his head in shame, closing his eyes to avoid looking at the broom. I'll listen now. I'll talk to you. I just don't ever want to lose you again. I won't ever want you to hurt yourself like this again. I don't have to hurt myself ever again. I have a 5-year plan now. I felt alone and helpless. The doc says the aloneness will be there as long as I pursue a business and debt freedom. Moreover, I survived. I would never have to feel helpless again. I wouldn't have lived if there wasn't a purpose for me. I wouldn't have lived if there wasn't a purpose for me here, you know? Dereck put on a brave face staring at Amelia. Dereck put on a brave face staring at Amelia with a burning resolve that warmed her soul. No, I guess you don't. Amelia wiped her eyes, believing his every word. It was the second time in her life she couldn't recognize Dereck. She felt guilty as if she was cheating on the man she had known for the man he was becoming. Is it wrong that I find this version of you more attractive? Amelia wiped her braids from her face, biting her lip. I would honestly be offended if you didn't. This version of me is a lot healthier and stronger, more focused, he winks, pulling her closer. Amelia kissed him, leaping into his arms and holding onto his neck for dear life. The two ate lunch in the cafeteria. A baked potato bar, barbecue chicken, and collards were the lunch special of the day. They caught up on each other's lives. Though Amelia didn't want to address it with him, it was the first of the month and the rent was due. She needed $1,000 and wouldn't be paid for a week. Amelia tried to brush off the late fee. Dereck knew because of their payment history the litigious landlord would likely take her to court. As Amelia tried to steer the conversation away from the subject, Dereck's mind filled with the ideas to fix it. For Amelia, it seemed like a heartbreaking amount. It would devour her entire paycheck and leave her with nothing but the instant meals in her freezer and pantry for 2 weeks. Dereck was unmoved. He kept a copy of his business plan in his pocket to remind himself it'll come to fruition before his eyes. Amelia was amazed by the details. The two went over the plan intently. Amelia couldn't grasp the bigger picture of the plan. She questioned every detail and decision until she understood how it would solve their immediate problem. As much as it frustrated Dereck, he understood it was because she didn't know any better. It wasn't her vision, and she wasn't there over the weeks it took to create the plan. If he ever wanted investors, he would have to withstand even deeper questioning. It seems great, but you need $15,000 to get started. Amelia pouted, ready to call it a day and let him rest before he got overexcited. That's 15 grand with a storefront and the best equipment. If I scale things down, then I only need a computer and a few clients. Dereck was starting to get his idea across as a seasoned pro. Amelia bit her lip. How does this help exactly? I mean, I'm very impressed when you get home, but it says it'll take 2 to 5 years. How do we make this work? Dereck finally grinned, feeling as if he outwitted Dr. Huxley and the landlord. Think about it like this, Amelia. We would only need 2 accounts to pay off rent before the 5th. We can get $1,000 without a late fee. Yes, but how? Even if you got 2 people, how long would it take, Amelia wondered. We ask for a portion up front, and the other half of the work is completed. Even if we only got 1 account, it'll help. I have my custodial job here, and I get paid this week. It's not like I need my paycheck until the doc clears me to go home. You're paid next week and can keep the whole thing. You just need to find 1 client, and I'll find another. God, please help us. Help us make this work. Dereck finalized with a prayer, wiping sweat from his nervous brow. Amelia didn't know what to say. She trusted him, conceding to help him, knowing he would be successful. His energy was different from last month, fearless and serious. Amelia was smitten, feeling in a daze as they each created a contact list of 20 people or businesses that might be interested. Dereck held on to a support system list of 10 folks who responded, creating 50 names. It was a numbers game, and they only needed 2 people who were in need. They practiced a simple script to describe their service. By the time her business was over, Bethel Business Solutions was born. His beloved Amelia was fired up and overjoyed. She had decided to come after hearing his voicemail. She began calling people as soon as she got on the train for home. The first few numbers she called to practice the script while it was still fresh in her mind. By the time she reached her transfer, she had recruited 4 clients, and one was willing to pay the full amount up front as long as the work started immediately. Dereck had only managed 1 client by nightfall. With how difficult calling his support system had initially been, he was happy to have gotten that much. His list was exhausted, and by bedtime his social battery was depleted. Amelia, however, had been so excited she had finished her list long ago and began writing another through the night. Her rent was paid off in the morning. She earned more than either of them had made in a month sitting in her bank account. Dereck's paycheck was a gift to Amelia, but sadly Dr. Huxley had to leave to lecture across the country. Dereck was released without a goodbye or any difficulty. If only Alistair had known the impact he had left on the boy. Everything Dr. Huxley did to dissuade Dereck only inspired him, though a good doctor wouldn't have left a patient if they were truly in need. Huxley was only called in for patients who were unlikely to ever leave a mental asylum. It was a joy he never knew to be able to release a patient back to society. High performance phase. It had been quite some time since Dereck visited the asylum that saved his life. Whenever he attempted to reach Dr. Huxley or his secretary, there was a delay, a trip, or no response. For better or worse, Dereck decided to face Dr. Huxley directly. Dereck had to breathe deeply the entire way. He tried to ease his nerves all the way to the office. It was nearing New Year's Day, and he hadn't seen the doctor in a year since his release in early November. The new secretary nervously let Dereck go to Dr. Huxley's inner sanctum, where it all began. Dr. Huxley opened his office door with shock as he saw his old patient, the only one he could never bear to face again. The octogenarian's eyes bulged out of his head as Dereck joyously embraced him. The good doctor patted Dereck on the shoulders, unsure if it was the same man he had counseled. Dereck was dressed smartly in a pair of fitted black jeans with a plain white Oxford and a tailored blazer. The young man looked far different than the tattered jeans and t-shirt from their first meeting. "How are you, Mr. Hoffman?" Dr. Huxley sincerely asked. "I'm wonderful. I'm actually great, man. How are you?" Dereck's enthusiastic energy was on a higher vibration. It wasn't his obvious smile, but the grand warmth radiating from his body. "It's very good to see you. You've adopted ties around your neck rather than your belt." Dr. Huxley's grim grin noted the change of appearance. "I honestly think the tie and the top button might be tighter than the belt." Dereck chided, the same strange sense of humor. "That's a good sign." Dr. Huxley applauded. "Gotta laugh not to cry sometimes, right?" "So, how's everything with the family? Any New Year's plans?" Dereck bounced with a noticeable excitement. Sadly, I live alone, Dereck. I spend most of my time here, especially the holidays. It's been quite some time since I've celebrated the holidays, a few decades, in fact. Dr. Huxley brushed off the cold feeling of pain. I'm having a party. Dereck blurts out, then holds out a folded invitation. Dr. Huxley was hushed, looking up at Dereck, who came all the way during the holiday season to deliver the invitation in person. Dr. Huxley began wiping his eyes, dropping the folded invitation, and causing the check to fall out onto his desk. Allersley was going to act as though he was cleaning flawed glasses, but could not hide his rending eyes as he lifted the check for $1,000. He opened his mouth, but was at an utter loss for words. Wow, just how? Dr. Huxley couldn't fathom such a thing. I got out of the thought phase early on and spent the action phase properly scaling my business. This forced me to adjust my projected budget for the past year. The new budget enabled me to reinvest into the business to eliminate many of my expenses. Without those expenses, I was able to invest in more lucrative projects. Dereck explained. Yes, but when did this all begin? Dr. Huxley hadn't expected such progress for at least another year or two. To make it simpler, I guess, I scaled things down to a level where I had no expenses. After our last meeting, I took your advice and prayed. We took your advice and made a contact list that ended up having 100 names. Initially, our list only had 50, and then Amelia called another 50 people herself. I started with only 10 customers who needed our service. Then when I got 30 referrals a few months later, I had to hire a new tech to help with the demand. After those 40 clients, we got 120 referrals. Business kept coming in, and I had a small team do more work. I'm rich now, Doc. Astounding. I had no account for such a miraculous response. Dr. Huxley cleaned his glasses, trying to ensure his vision hadn't betrayed him. It didn't happen overnight. I still had months in between when we had no clients at all. So those people I hired came on as independent contractors for tax purposes. We did a lot of follow-ups as well. The budget and the business plan honestly kept us grounded. I had to pay it back to you since you paid it forward. Dereck wipes his eyes as the doctor's emotions became contagious. I hadn't received anything so grand in decades, Dereck. Thank you. Huxley let out a pun. Well, he used to seem upset I nearly killed me, so now you seem pretty happy we met, huh? Dereck gibed. God. There must be a line even with yourself. Dr. Huxley chuckled, wiping away his tears of sorrowful joy. The line and with the memory, it's all behind me now. I have a future thanks to you. You gotta come to the party. It's gonna be a classy affair at my new house. A house, my boy? Maybe we should talk more about financial management, Alice just said with grief, recollecting his old friends who spent their money before they made it. Hold on now. Amelia got a career in her field. I taught her your 7-20-10 rule for budgeting. It's a rent-to-own house that costs less than our apartment, he sneered, feeling clever. You're a brilliant man. No wonder they institutionalized you. Dr. Huxley smiled. They hold a brother back because he's a genius, Dereck scoffed. This all sounds wonderful. I'll be at your event at 7:30 sharp. I'm proud of you and Amelia for surviving this ordeal, but I cannot accept your check. I consider this my investment into your future and advancement. Dereck looked hurt but played it off. It's a Pyrrhic victory then, okay? How about you just put it in the picture frame? If you're worried, I can write it off for my taxes. Use it to fix the creepy lighting in here. It's definitely a true victory, and I'm very proud of you. Dr. Huxley held out his arms. Geez, Doc, is this your first hug in decades, too? Dereck asked with a blush as he stood up. No, I'm not that heartless. Perhaps it's been a month or a year. Alistair winks, embracing his young ward. They hugged briefly, then let each other go. Alistair squeezed Dereck's shoulders before letting him go, once again wiping his eyes. Dereck couldn't help but laugh. When we first met, you had this Dr. Death vampire vibe. Now you almost seem human. Dereck nudged him in the arm. I'm glad you're alive. The world we live in takes so many. If not in death, it takes their heart or mind. I rarely say this, but thank you, God Almighty. Dereck had felt the pressure he had never felt before. His life had always been his own, yet so many people loved and respected him. He hadn't realized after his near death that he was never living on this planet for himself. He hadn't been conscious of it before. Now he knew he had to offer more back to society and others in his situation. Generative Phase. The years had passed and Dereck and Amelia had grown. Both faced tremendous torment through the trials of life, but tasted greater success still by working together. Each setback forced them to be creative and develop beyond the situation. They saw the truth, not strive for agendas. They didn't pitch people or bide them along. Instead, they learned forgiveness, understanding, and negotiation. When troubles arise, they focus on the solution, not the problem or each other. The businesses no longer charge an upfront fee. In fact, most of their work was done for free, helping those without the needed capital to fundraise. They create educational and motivational videos for other entrepreneurs, not focusing on themselves, but giving the spotlight and guidance to others. Dereck used 20% of his monthly income to experiment with stocks and cryptocurrency. Listening to the late Aleister Huxley's advice to trust God and live wise, Dereck was turning 30. He no longer rushed his business plans. He enjoyed longer, drawn-out plans after saving up 50% of his income for a few months to a year for capital, and then multiplying his money indefinitely. He was sought after for his financial acumen, but Dereck rarely shared his secrets. He was enjoying himself and experimenting. He encouraged discipline, charity, and budgeting. Never invest in what you don't understand. Dereck didn't rest on his experiments on wealth and his finances. Instead, he returned to school, getting a trade in plumbing, spending most of the past 5 years as an apprentice plumber for his local community. He worked a second job as a full-time marketing coordinator for a multi-millionaire, Solomon Bright, a fellow patient of the late Dr. Huxley. They bonded over drinks after the funeral 3 years ago. The two loved Aleister Huxley as an uncle, so in turn they called themselves cousins. They followed his strict advice, even discussing how desperately Huxley attempted to stop them from pushing their psychosis to its limits. Yet the two had a knack for bringing dreams to existence, seeing a vision others didn't understand. Amelia decided to retire young. She began to work from home, managing her family's blog, handling their communications, and raising their 2 children, a 2-year-old son and a 1-year-old daughter. Amelia was self-convicted to leave her career entirely and work for herself full-time. She intended to return to work as a teacher, but wasn't in any rush, choosing to teach others how to enjoy their life. When Amelia and Dereck found out they were having their first baby, they sold their first home to purchase their current house. Money seemed to find them easily, and they focused on building deep relationships, not many. Their lives became centered on paying forward and assisting others in their financial, mental, and spiritual lives. Dereck realized the blockage was a focus on achieving their goals and setting better goals than those being failed. All seemed perfectly fine for the loving couple until tax season approached. In their youth, they had never paid attention to taxes. They've only ever had to file W-2s or 1080-EZs, maybe even a 1099 form. Their combined net worth had exploded well beyond the $250,000 from last tax season. Their financial resplendence was only through grit and God. It was inexplicable to them otherwise. They didn't know how much money they truly had and hadn't bothered to assess their true wealth, and the IRS was far more curious than either Amelia or Dereck had ever been. I feel like such a phony, Dereck bawled as he looked at his final notice letter from the IRS, who had been writing to their first home for weeks. Relax, Dereck, just breathe. You can get an accountant or a lawyer. The tax thieves won't take you away from me. Amelia kissed his neck, wrapping her arms around his waist. Def couldn't have me, neither can the IRS. I never knew taxes were a thing, Dereck sighed. Are you kidding me? This entire time I thought you wanted an LLC for tax write-offs, Amelia giggles. I wanted it for the freedom they'll never take away from me, Dereck clenched his fist. Relax, Dereck. You can't let yourself get stressed out, or we'll be right back where we started. I think we need to get some ice cream. Amelia kissed his cheek and then skipped off to get the children ready. Dereck sat on the edge of the bed. He had been obsessing over the taxes all morning and afternoon. He concluded using an LLC and their charity as a tax write-off could save them. He didn't understand taxes or where to start at first. His 5-year plan never included such an idea. He quietly thanked God in his prayers, taking extra time to himself and letting Amelia head to the farm for fresh ice cream. He was still on the bed when Amelia returned, calling out to him to come downstairs. Dereck came downstairs, feeling like a child when his mother asked for help with the groceries. He spotted the family schedule pinned on the fridge, decorated with flowers and race cars from his children. Time and money management were his central focus for years, yet the idea of taxes escaped him. Tomorrow was his day with the children, and Amelia was off to the spa. She scheduled a Groupon date with herself a month in advance. It was prepaid and it made no sense not to go. One of them needed to be stress-free. Dereck loved time with his kids. Their innocence and natural creativity helped spark many of his business ideas. As he monitored them playing with their ice cream rather than eating, the time became meditative. The two did anything to avoid sitting still or standing in one place for too long. As long as the ice cream remained off the floor, he didn't mind them running off. He'll likely find them in the most curious situations when he decides to go after them in the living room. He had another idea. "All right, you two, it's time for bed," Dereck called out, ready to get to work. "We can't go to bed yet, Dad. We're playing garden." His 2-year-old son came and shouted back. He walked in to find the 1-year-old sitting in the planting pot, covered up to her waist in planting soil. "What is this, bud?" Dereck rubbed the bridge of his nose. "I'm planting a sister tree so we can have another kid to play with soon," Kamen explained as if it was apparent. "I'm a plant, Daddy," Sky cheered. "Who will you play with as your little sister turns into a tree?" Dereck riddled. The 2-year-old thought long and hard, then soon came up with the answer. "I guess I have to get her out now," the 2-year-old sighed. "You two need to go upstairs and take a bath before I show you how my parents raised me. Get your baby sister tree. I'll put away the ice cream." "Can you plant a little brother tree tomorrow instead? We can get seeds at the store," his son asked. "I'll think about it. Now, hop to bed, bud." Dereck points to the stairs. A few hours had passed and Amelia rolled over in bed, finding Dereck reading nonstop. She rolled back over, thinking nothing of it. She was happy he was finally using the Kindle her mother bought him. Amelia woke a few hours later to use the bathroom. Dereck was nodding off while reading the screen in night mode. His pupils moved until she placed a hand over his eyes, soon hearing snores. Amelia kissed his forehead and laid him down as she lifted the Kindle and noticed he was 99% done with a book on tax filing for the self-employed. Amelia pumped her fist, knowing something amazing followed. She handled her bathroom business and then returned to bed. Amelia joyfully dreamed of her spa day and the brilliant solution her husband would execute. The alarm rang. Amelia stretched out in the bed to find Dereck gone before she could reward him for last night. She hated it when he would sneak out of bed, but the smell of blueberry waffles quelled her disappointment. Amelia walked out in her bathroom to find both her children fully dressed and playing with their American bulldog and Bengal cat. Sky held onto the dog's collar, trying to get to the full saddle as the bulldog walked about to shake her off. Kamen sat peacefully reading a picture book to the cat. Dereck was by the waffle maker, oblivious to the United Species Committee meeting in their den. He was engulfed in a lecture on tax law. A stack of tax forms lay on the kitchen island. The memo said, "From Solomon Bright, go get 'em, bud." Solomon owned many businesses and still managed to self-file his taxes. He spent decades learning about taxes and hiring others before he felt comfortable doing it himself. The first year he did, he received more money than ever before. He had spoken to Dereck about the lectures, books, and files he would need. Dereck listened to his mentor and followed suit. Amelia refrained from interrupting Dereck as she set the table. Grabbing the organic maple syrup and the buttered corn syrup variant, she noted she would need to buy more of the artificial kind, as apparently she only used a healthier variety. It wasn't a bother. She had already had her coupons saved on her cell phone for all their frequent purchases, and the store usually offered more coupons when she was done shopping. Dereck's lecture finished up, giving him time to take the plate of waffles, sausage, and spinach salad to the table, juggling them with his tablet as he fired up another lecture. "No, don't. No electronics at the table." Amelia finally put her foot down, taking away the ceramic bowl she had made, filled with spinach, carrots, and vinaigrette dressing as she loved it. But, Dereck was unplugged, attempting to readjust to life again. "It could wait for your family." Amelia recited his favorite phrase, kissing him on the cheek. Dereck wanted to persist, but he looked over to his children and sighed. helping to set the table and make everyone's plate. When they were done, he kissed Amelia again, ensuring to thank her for her help. Amelia held on to him, wishing they could have another hour to enjoy themselves privately. She relents, not quite ready to have another kid. You're lucky, Mr. Hoffman. I'll spare you for now, Amelia muttered as she pinched his cheek. What? Dereck chuckled. Oh, you'll find out one day when you're older. Amelia played coy. Oh, wow, girl. He blushed quickly, putting it together. The family enjoyed the delicious meal, especially the homemade waffles. After sitting down for a family breakfast, the kids helped their father clean the entire kitchen. Amelia went upstairs to get ready for her appointment. Dereck washed the last of the dishes while listening to an audiobook on tax breaks by Jeff Schneppner. In the back of his head, Dereck was putting together that there was a puppet show and guest reader at the public library that lined up perfectly with Amelia's appointment. They took one car to save on gas and mileage, dropping off Mommy first with a vow to return, and then driving to the library. The children, Cameron and Sky, sat transfixed on the puppet show. Dereck was at the computer typing up his four-part taxation and financial recovery plan for the family's blog. The more he learned, the less his fears controlled him. Creativity consumed him, and he found his flow, the four-step plan. First, account for all monies, assets, donations, expenses, and projects for the prior year. Compile a cash flow analysis to state taxable income, business expenses, and tax write-offs like home equity. Second, going directly after credit score to dispute claims, search for more write-offs, and improve credit score. Between these two steps, began working from his tablet to begin his financial recovery. Third, compile one list specifically for the tax write-offs in case there's a need for investigation or audit. Fourth, file the taxes and mail in dispute letters to go from defense into offense. Now he was seeking a tax return and recidification for mistakes by the credit bureau. By this time, his children were listening to the story of the grasshopper and the ants. When the story was over, his 2-year-old ran up to him, and the 1-year-old crawling over, lifting up her arms to be picked up and to be put to bed from her busy day. His alarm went off as he soothed Sky's grumpiness, bringing him back to reality. He gave himself enough time to drive back to the spa before his wife's appointment ended to keep her from waiting. Dereck gathered himself with a sigh of relief. He finished everything he could do. All that was left was mailing in his forms and letters. He logged out of all his personal information and erased the cache and cookies. The library had its own security system that wiped its recent memory clean for the next user. He was off to get Amelia. Amelia came out of the spa, radiating sunshine and positivity as she slipped into the passenger seat. She edified her husband on how mandatory spas are and how they should be included in health insurance. Dereck pulled his family into a local diner to continue listening to Amelia's political platform and mandatory essentials while the kids ate French fries and salad for $5. Amelia spoke on how important massages, pedicures, and saunas were for mental health while chewing on a cheeseburger. Dereck ate a hearty cup of soup with the saltines provided by the diner. Amelia finished singing her diatribe on how relaxing her spa trip had been. She had finally convinced Dereck to join her next time and to let his father and mother watch the kids. Amelia finished talking, but the entire time couldn't take her eyes off the stack of envelopes poking out of the baby bag. Her curiosity spoke volumes before she could open her mouth again. She began shifting the topic from the spa to a property she saw a few days ago, beginning the financial conversation to finally capture Derek's attention. Derek's hand tapped on the envelopes with a wild grin. He had been courteous as she spoke, downplaying his own progress. When Amelia finally asked flat out about the taxes, he swaggered over to clean Cayman's mouth and hands from ketchup and French dressing. It's Gucci. The man's got it all figured out, finally. They really tried to overcomplicate taxes, but we kept great accounting and bookkeeping at an A+ level. Tracking our expenses and income was easier than I thought. Dereck finished cleaning Cayman and then began with Sky. He was fussy over her nap. So what's your goal now, baby? Amelia asked, watching as their daughter fought for more fries as her father cleaned her up. It's a very simple 4-part plan. I already did the first 3 steps. First, I assessed their actual net worth. Second, I disputed everything possible in my credit history. I looked for tax write-offs in our purchases. Thirdly, I found the LOC nearly 2 years ago. The one I never got to use. It's at the top of the list with all the tax write-offs. Why does that LLC help you now? They don't expire? Amelia asked as she calmly took the open ketchup bottle from Sky. Well, yes, after about 3 decades. We started the LLC in the second year of my plumbing apprenticeship. That's when most of these projects really started showing any actual profit. I assessed and tracked everything for a year. We spent a great deal on software, properties, and equipment. Our charitable extensions are also tax deductible. I guess it's technically a 5-step system. The secret step is gathering all the necessary information in one place to be able to focus. The library also had a TurboTax CD available to check out. I also grabbed more books on joint filing and starting a nonprofit and a few DVDs. I'll end up getting back a few $100,000 at least. Dereck handed over all the paperwork for review. Amelia's jaw dropped in amazement. How? What? Do my taxes next. I think I might have to start an LLC for it, honestly. It takes a few hours of time to do it correctly, but I could definitely invest in a tax credit and debt solutions venture. We can do full financial overhauls for people. Dereck was relieved. I love you, Amelia applauded. Cameron and Sky began clapping, though they had no idea why other than the fun of copying Mommy and Daddy. The waitress came over with their bill. Their bill came out to $20 after a tip. As the waitress returned with Dereck's debit card, she was joined by the restaurant manager and owner who had been eavesdropping on the conversation. Dereck was their on-call plumber, and they had always wondered how he did so well for himself and what he did with his money. After hearing he was moving into tax and debt, they had dozens of questions begging to be his first customers to avoid having the diner closing down. They have struggled for years properly filing taxes because despite their profits, neither understood deductions, payroll, or their financial statements. There was also a broken toilet. They needed a new one ordered and installed. Dereck suddenly remembered he hadn't even accounted for his earnings as a unionized plumber and he'd set a W-2 to submit. Dereck attempted to calmly dismiss himself and his family, but he had to let them go to the car as he wrote down people's numbers and concerns and answered tax questions. He took another week to file his taxes, ensuring everything was correct by having a few contacts look over his work. While his tax return was under review, they spent the week donating their unused clothes and items to clean out the house. He filed for the new LOC, tracking every business and tax-related expense during the week to apply once he was registered. By the week's end, he had an LOC, accountant, lawyer, and financial advisor partner up to address his 50 ready customers. The other 3 had been nervous about splitting their time, but Dereck ensured he would teach them how to manage their time wisely, as the 4 partners taught their town how to manage their finances. The 4 partners started from the ground, writing up a contact list of 1,000 people. Dereck persevered from grit and experience. He ended up making the calls alone after 500 people rejected them repeatedly. It demoralized his partners, but only reminded Dereck of how he reached this point. Dereck sat by the phone, postponing everything else until his calls were done. He made 100 calls a day. Many didn't feel they earned enough to pay someone to do their taxes and declined. He agreed, advising them to use free tax software from the library. He avoided sales pitches, relying on education and expertise. Dereck bravely calls the next 500, remembering sitting in the asylum library, using the librarian's phone to call only 30 people 5 years ago and how difficult it felt. 250 people were excited about the service but had already filed their taxes for the year. They knew they didn't get all their money back, and the conversation ended shortly with promises for the following tax season. Dereck promised to follow up with them at the end of the week to see if they wanted a tax amendment. 100 of the 250 had never heard such a thing as an amendment and ensured they would call back once they could think it through before the April 15th to give the time to file. The remaining 200 people had yet to file taxes and promised to make a decision after looking over the website and reading the free blog information the other 3 partners wrote while Dereck manned the phones. Each needed to be delegated to their strengths to stay motivated. Dereck was exhausted, and when his phone bill came from his $35 month-to-month plan, he tore it up saying he would pay it once he recharged his social battery in a month. Amelia was overjoyed at how quickly it came together. Their love grew not from the finances, but from his amazing creativity, compassion, and ambition. He amazed her with how he always found a way to pull them through. She vowed to herself to support and love Dereck even if they lost everything. Knew it was a decision of whether he would do the same because he supported her when they were facing evictions and breakups. He loved her no matter what. In the first year, the concept had evolved from the tedium of filing people's taxes to a year-round service of helping people find their wealth, educating, motivating, and remaining open for communication. The focus was on helping people learn to properly manage their money, business, and assets, and moving their income from debt gates and depletion into directions that would multiply their hard-earned wealth. They served their neighborhood proudly, raising the property value and starting a mutual fund where citizens can opt in and earn money together at a minimum of $2,000. They focused on helping individuals earning a minimum of $30,000 annually. Business owners, investors, or married couples, 99% of their clients found their way to prosperity, morality, community, and happier lives. Dereck went from the young boy facing people who had never considered the financial futures to becoming a man leading his town to financial prosperity. He claims his life was never controlled by money, but by becoming a steward, a master of his money who still lived as a modest plumber serving his community. Your credit is your reputation. If you didn't read another chapter, this is the critical subject until there is major reformation in American economics and finances. Your credit score determines your eligibility to loans, careers, and extra income. Credit is important if the current situation or income level doesn't permit you to make purchases cash. If you cannot currently get a loan for college or receive a mortgage for a house, this is a great book for you. Many of us struggle to maneuver through this system because of our debt and credit. However, these can become extremely beneficial. In fact, these create the fake rich life most aspire toward. There are people who look rich but they avoid taxes, have mountains of debt, and somehow have an infinite credit limit to live their lives, while others are crushed and unable to buy groceries because their $500 credit limit is maxed out and they have a week until payday. I seek to lift the boots of disparity from the necks of the downtrodden working class. I pray I can shut down the Ponzi credit repair specialists who charge astronomical amounts to lie about identity theft and abuse the credit bureaus. Yes, you can completely dispute accounts as you 100% legally owe, or create a fake identity through an I number, an EIN number, or CBN. You could also go to jail, be fined for these unethical methods. I'm not one of these people trying to get rich off of your misfortune. Let's learn an honest way to become fortunate. I'm not going to cover the history of credit in this article. My goal is to make you your own specialist in credit, to prepare you for a lifetime of good credit and actively fix your credit score. This way you wouldn't need to pay $500 to a specialist that could have gone to pay your debts. What is your credit score composed of truly? If you've seen anything below an 800 credit score, you'll quickly see why your credit score is a 700, 600, or 500. It's easy to feel overwhelmed or controlled by your credit score without proper information, but information creates clarity and creativity. Understanding what composes your credit score will show you the areas you need to work on. 35% of your credit score is your credit history for the past 120 days to 7 years. A perfect score is 850. If you have a poor payment history or new accounts, then you're missing about 297.5 points, setting you back to about a 552.5 score off the ripples. To counter this, you need to call your creditors to arrange a sensible payment plan or voluntarily pay the minimum amount for several months or years to move back into positive standing. For these nearly 300 points, you don't need to pay off all your debts. I would say this. You need to maintain a good standing by paying something or remaining in clear communication with your creditors. The next major section covers your credit utilization over your credit limit. This covers 30% of your credit score or around 255 points. If you maxed out your credit cards, your score would be maxed around 600 points. It's important to pay your bills before they're due, first and foremost to avoid interest. The strategy for this area is to pay off your bill before it's reported to the credit bureaus and to keep your utilization below 10 to 30% of your limit. I want to focus on credit history and credit utilization since these can tackle you down to a 300 credit score. First, it usually takes about 5 to 9 months to get in good standing with your creditors. Focus only on the minimum payments to get back into good standing and reduce your utilization. You want to pay your bills before the 15th when your bill is typically issued. You want to attack this before you receive the bill and before they can apply interest. This will report your utilization at its amount after you've paid your bills. Second, the best habit you can develop is to pay off your bills in full. Then you will never have to worry about your interest rate. This will also report your credit utilization at 0 if done before the 15th, which will secure those 255 points over a few months of this technique. Third, a personal pet peeve, honestly. You don't want to remove these from your record because it can negatively affect your credit history. Many of these fake specialists try to hide credit evidence by demanding for deletion. This makes them feel as if they've accomplished something, but if this was an older account, you'll lose those points instead of gaining them. You may want to close the account or best settle the account in good standing. The length of your credit history is significant because it's 50% or 127.5 of your credit score. If you close older accounts or accounts suddenly disappear, you're losing credit history longevity. This will prevent you from reaching over 800 because you will not be able to instantly regain those 100 points. It'll take you years, not months, to rebuild. Hopefully, it'll be easier to see why these fake specialists can do more harm than good. The last two sections are your new accounts and your credit diversity, both sitting at 10% of your score. Creditors enjoy seeing diversity instead of lump sums of consumer credit card debt or student loan debt. If they're going to invest in you, they want to see how you're positively dealing with the investments others have extended to you. These are both 85 points, which keep you below a perfect score as well. You cannot start over in credit, legally. The mentality for victory is to keep moving forward regardless. Begin by taking full responsibility for your debts, credit, and taxes instead of avoiding them. Understand it can take a few years to rebuild, but at the end of 3 to 5 years, you'll be in a great position. Sometimes this can take less than a year simply to reach good standing. If you can afford cash for everything, then I suggest doing it. For many others, a diverse mix of credit outside of consumer credit card debt will positively impact your score. Do not open too many credit cards because you'll be negatively affecting yourself. If you need the money so desperately, then don't need the money so desperately. That's the worst time to ask for a loan or credit cards. The pro of credit is it can help for infinite banking. I would say this will also completely redefine oppression because you cannot be denied based off your color, sex, creed, or class, but due to your credit score, which means utilizing infinite banking can help many people overcome capitalism if they're excited about true risk over volatility. The cons of credit are that it's a fiat currency scaring many of your conspiracy theorist friends. This isn't actually real money, but the debt accrued becomes very real. The money you pay is very real. You are handing over your hard-earned money for at-will currency simply because a creditor said, let it be, and it is so. This isn't good, especially if you're quickly overrun beyond your credit limit into extreme interest debt. Fixing your credit aligns directly to debt management, to not only get in good standing, but to become debt-free. I wanted to briefly introduce the topics of infinite banking and debt management. We're focusing on getting into good standing, which will require you to buckle down for 2 to 3 business quarters. Use your finances wisely, stop avoiding debt you know you owe, and saying it's unfair. It's unfair to borrow money without any intentions of paying, which is why this system was created, to separate those who will reliably pay your debts and those who have a pattern of ignoring their debts. Let's lay down the process for getting into good standing and raising your credit score. Time to leave the thinking phase and enter the action phase. 1. I needed to get your credit reports from all 3 bureaus. You can simply visit their websites, transunion.com, Experian.com, and Equifax.com. 2. Save a nice lump sum of money while you wait for your earnings. If you are relatively debt-free, 15%. If you have student loan debts or auto loans, then save 30%. If you want to be debt-free sooner than later, save up to 40%. Once you get your credit reports, organize your accounts into oldest accounts, newest accounts, and unfamiliar accounts. Oldest accounts, it's time for you to take your relationship and perspective of your creditors to a new level. Get on the phone with a real person. Explain your situation and income level. Ask if there's anything they can do to help you. At the end of this conversation, you want it to be clear, this is simply a company trying to collect and you're a good person trying to repay. However, you may not be able to pay back all that you owe. You may have to use that 15 to 40% to settle this account, so please read all the actions first to see which section is best for you. 5. Newest accounts. You want to fix these accounts immediately because they should be the easiest to reach good standing. Start these new relationships off positively by maintaining 10 to 30% credit utilization, paying early to avoid interest, and maintaining communication with a real person in the company. Utilizing 50% per paycheck for all income should keep you secure against new creditors. 6. Unfamiliar accounts. This is where you implement a credit dispute letter, not otherwise unless there's an error. You must write a very simple letter in your own words stating the action is in error, describe how it's negatively affecting your ability to live your life, and send this letter through certified receipt mail to 3 credit bureaus. 7. The major key to these letters is not the context of the letter, but in how you prepare your memo. Create the document in this order: your name, your last 4 addresses, phone number, and social security number. This is what you're paying $500 for someone else to do for you. 8. In 15 to 30 days, expect a response. If you receive an identity theft report, then fill out this promptly and resend it. They would recommend a police report as well, a very simple process to follow through on. Filing a false police report is a crime worthy of 18 months in prison and a fine. 9. Call your familiar creditors with the smallest debt accounts by phone. You're usually able to settle old accounts at 30 to 50% of the principal amount. Most creditors will accept something over nothing, but may not loan to you again. This is a great method to do with collection agencies. Ensure you get the agreement sent to you in writing before you pay anything. Keep a paper trail because they have a voice recording of you. Your personal information can garnish your wages. You need to start playing at an equal level. 10. If your wages are being garnished, then you're going to want to go through the debt rehabilitation program. 11. If your accounts are less than 500, pay them off quickly within 1 to 2 months. Have some discipline to give up drinking, smoking, eating out, or driving aimlessly to pay off your debt. 12. Find an online community or an in-person meeting group to help you cope psychologically and offer financial advice for your situation. 13. Apply for a small loan equal to a quarter of the income after you have settled all your accounts. Diversify your credit by getting an auto loan, housing mortgage, or student loan to boost your credit. Then practice everything you have learned to pay off the debt. 14. Enjoy your new good standing in credit, your improved credit score, and perhaps make someone an authorized user on your credit card. 15. Bonus. If your primary issue is you have a credit score of 0, then you must request a family member or a friend with a good credit make you an authorized user. Without a credit card or access to their account, you simply want to piggyback on their credit history in order to build a score for yourself, or you can hire an underwriter who manages house, car, and other purchases in cash. Addresses: Experian Customer Service, P.O. Box 4500, Allen, Texas 75013. Equifax Customer Support, P.O. Box 740241, Atlanta, Georgia 30374. TransUnion Consumer Solutions, P.O. Box 2000, Chester, Pennsylvania 19016-2000. Discipline. We must clarify the greatest misconception plaguing us from birth. Control, punishment, and discipline are not equal or equivalent. It's a guttural connotation that makes these ideas seem the same. I would hope a joyful child is a goal amongst all parents. Others want obedient, well-mannered, and docile children so as not to be judged by others or challenged. This doesn't mean the ideal joyful child is a wild child doing what they please. We would also hope that the ideal child doesn't constantly need to be instructed on how to be joyful. It's almost as if we wish to enjoy a child's joy while solely stripping it away to condition them for society. Sadly, we condition children into servile individualism, endlessly seeking validation. We end up breaking the joyful child to create an empty vessel, ravenous consumer, shopping and working to feel something again. We are taught to punish and control an external force acting upon us to make us act right. This conditions us to rely upon external structures and external opinions for correction. Often it has the opposite effect, creating a deeper resistance and aversion to people's perspective or authority altogether. Worse, it can create an outright rebellion, worsening any bridge to long-term recovery once the relationship turns into malignant abuse. A child can lose their personality and God-given purpose once a parent takes them off the line of joy to turn them into a consumer of happiness. What does this have to do with the money? Is the disparity of wealth not the greatest malignant abuse, as if the knowledge and practice of wealth have been coveted by a select few? Many of us no longer want anything to do with money. We reject doing certain things we should because of external pressure. This stress alters our thoughts, behaviors, and emotions. Stress can sever or strengthen a vessel from its spirit. How our parents taught us to view our bad behavior, and the extent we create our own perspective. A lot of people fear the name and existence of God instead of worshiping. This leads many people to speak about the universe, the one narrative. Was loudness and jumping on the couch a catastrophic event, or what kids do? Do you go to bed at a regular time or stay up all night? These are the early building blocks we structure our lives on. This is what creates your daily script and tacit narrative controlling your habits, behaviors, thoughts, and actions. What we practice daily is what ultimately becomes our life. This is why discipline is mandatory. Discipline is not an external force impressed upon us by the external world. Discipline is inertia. It's our very paradigm defining us, waking up, working all night, eating, sleeping, and working. Do our daily habits build us, break us, or keep us at rest? It's whether we were taught to wait for an external force to move upon us or prepare us for movement. The potential energy is waiting to be told what to do. The kinetic energy is focused on its purpose until the rest is inevitable. I'm serious when I say discipline is internal inertia, practicing our daily habits to their fullest capacity. When we say get discipline, what we refer to is seemingly indomitable willpower forcing one to wake up from a hangover to perform at 1000%. It comes from decades of tiny decisions determining whether we have compromised ourselves, missed our mark, or overslept. Oversleeping after an all-nighter or finishing a thesis paper is not poor discipline. Focus on the discipline found Focus on the discipline found in pushing oneself to completion. Discipline is large decisions like getting an A plus on a paper that comes from doing work over time, not in one instance. The answer to this problem isn't spending the night getting the assignment, performing an all-nighter, then ignore the assignment until the week it's due. You take the syllabus and spend an all-nighter, schedule your assignments in a calendar or planner. You can program it into your cell phone. Doing 20 to 40 minutes a night would solve so many problems between binge watching television and social activities. Doing 30 minutes of studying directly after class would double your retention of the knowledge you received. Break the assignment into smaller projects and tasks, then keep the larger vision in your spirit. The mind tires before the body. Discipline is therefore training our mind to connect with our spirit, superego, and higher conscience. This teaches our mind to move out the way as it does when our id dominates our thinking. However, it processes this for the right decision or to our designated paradigm built over time. If you are starting a 30-day transformation, you'll realistically need 90 days to create a real habit. Its actuality, you'll need a year to a decade. Discipline and integrity is accepting a reality that we choose our evil and good inclinations, like we choose what to wear in the morning. We have created this style, morning routine, sleep habits, and financial habits around the age of 7 or 10. When was the last time you consciously considered your morning routine or your sleep quality? Discipline and integrity are our ability to make the right decision for our wealth, health, and success. The practice of meditation can bring one's breath and mind as one singular function. However, meditation is no mastery, it is a practice, not a competition, but a continuum. Discipline, therefore, is a life practice of bringing our carnal flesh under divine order to our spirit, not the heart or mind. Vainglory or ascetia bows before a liberated spirit focused upon its convictions, direction, and purpose. To stay on the path and to be accountable, then a lifestyle of discipline is indispensable. You may mock me or say I'm preaching to you. This is your prerogative. My true point is, discipline is far superior to punishment or control. We must train and teach this internal mechanism of a life meditation to the Almighty, the image of all that is right and good that has given us the perfect paradigm already from birth. The moment you feel coerced or demanding of authority, it is not discipline. When you're trying to remove positive stimuli and things you genuinely love from your life, then you're punishing yourself. Silence the demons by relying upon your spirit to give you direction. Discipline can only be lived by and exemplified. It's often falsely portrayed for punishment or control because how does one judge an internal mechanism by physical appearance? A tree is judged by its fruits. So you must focus on the results and remove unnecessary methods to achieve these ends. The prophets do not determine what is justifiable. Our results determine what is justifiable. Keep your eyes as an arrow focused on its target. Do not diverge to compare your nature of discipline or life with others. Instead, build a community to reinforce your positive goals because evil has already been defeated. If you're seeking exercise, then go to a boxing gym or join a recreational team. If you're an artist, use Everbright, Meetup, Paint and Sips, open mics, and writer circles. If it's entrepreneurship, join the chambers of commerce and network. People will recognize your discipline by two things alone: your word and your actions. Discipline, true discipline, is when those two are in pure alignment. You can follow through on what you'll say you do. If you fail or miss your mark, you alone take responsibility. Therefore, it was no traffic. It wasn't your environment. It wasn't your upbringing. And as difficult it wasn't to say, it wasn't your childcare. For the next quarter, center yourself on being accountable, being committed, and taking what you say very seriously. Your word is your bond. If you cannot take your word and your actions seriously, then others will only reflect your perception. I repeat, do not spend your life comparing your discipline with others. Improve your practice, your adherence to your word as your bond, and taking life a bit more seriously. Your assignment is to dedicate yourself to rereading the former sections, create a list of your expenses, track down every last dollar going out of your pocket, create a budget, create a schedule. You will not be a perfect man every day. Every day you'll get closer to your goal, you'll better utilize your resources, and you'll better invest your time. Savings. The first step to developing into debt freedom, discipline, and financial literacy is a firm understanding of savings. Ask yourself, why are we told to save money? Well, as stated in the introduction, we all earn millions or multi-millions in our lifetime. The only rational way to see these millions is to save every single dollar we earn. There are three methods of savings to achieve your financial goals and secure your life for old age. The most common form of savings, and sadly the least effective method, is the old school money in a mattress method. There's no interest to help your money to fight inflation or hopefully grow through compound interest. This method is great for your emergency fund, minimum of $1,000, but it will limit your ability to work your money, i.e., plan, savings account with fees and charges or a shoebox, anything under the rate of inflation. Long-term savings account. Long-term savings will outpace your mattress. Many of us don't account for inflation. Without a shelter, i.e., a savings account or a retirement fund, you're losing money every year. The rate of inflation ranges from 1.5 to 2.3%. These aren't taxes you'll have returned. This is an absolute loss of value. A money shelter protects you from inflation. A credit union savings account will match the rate of inflation, while a retirement fund or index fund will overcome inflation with compound interest of 5 to 8%. Where do you personally want to see your money long term 5 to 50 years from now? I recommend doing it after saving your first grand and beginning to combat your debts. This will leave an open financial pathway for saving for retirement while not impeding your 24-hour lifestyle. Attempting to pay off debt while saving is possible, but it will absorb a minimum of 30% of your income to do both effectively. Doing this while investing will consume nearly 40 to 50% of your income. It's not recommended, but can be highly profitable if you have great discipline and schedule events in advance to budget them. What if you haven't developed the discipline to save money for 50 years yet? We all try to save money but feel plagued by unexpected events. This is why there are goal-oriented savings. The purpose of goal-oriented savings is to create a dynamic appliance of wealth moving and adjustment to life. The reason I don't recommend attempting all three at once is that I don't personally know anyone with expendable income or who doesn't feel they need more money. The method is ideal for paying for a new car, rent, mortgage, or rental property, or for a musician to get studio time. It's potential energy. Your wallet becomes prepared to take action. It becomes easier to save money knowing there will be an eventual release of the funds or guaranteed security for the future. It's best to have a $1,000 emergency fund and then work to stow away 7 months of expenses for food, shelter, and transportation before adding 7 months of your luxury expenses. This way, our financial decisions in sudden circumstances are not controlled by fear Instead, we can address our financial life with present awareness of the eternal. There will inevitably be a tomorrow. We cannot eat all our bread today. The aim is to teach you to bake your own bread or save up your dough. Try these 5 exercises and share your results with us on Facebook. 1. Resolve to save 10 to 20% of all income you receive for at least 1 full year, up to 5 decades. 2. Get an online liquid money fund, a savings account, or a credit union to store your money for your financial goals, or a mutual fund or a college fund for your kids. 3. Set up 4 quarterly financial goals. Give yourself a deadline to achieve these goals. Give yourself a 5th annual financial goal to prevent you from emptying your savings every 3 months. You are on pace to save this entire year from securing you for 7 months if needed in the future. 4. Save your first 3 months. Track all your transactions and adjust your savings habits for the following quarter. Repeat this for 3 more quarters until the fiscal year is complete. 5. Do you need to make any lifestyle adjustments to achieve your financial goals on time? Then convert the money you once spent on your vices as the first dollars you save. My last words on savings are quite simple. Investing will produce a greater yield for your income. Insurance will protect your family. To accomplish either of these goals, you must resolve to reallocate your funds from fund to priorities. This means even when you have money in your pockets, you have the fortitude to focus on the future. If one struggles to save, finances will always be a fundamental blockage in life because at its heart, the struggle is delayed gratification. We will soon discuss opportunity costs. This will help you learn how to better delegate your money and time away from diversions. The goal is to focus on your craft of true enjoyment of life. The fundamental life skill of savings is so powerful it can change your life for good. Savings at a base level of 10% over your lifetime will yield a good amount. Savings at 20% will afford you to at least retire. At 30%, you could spare your children a difficult life. At 40%, you may achieve wealth in your lifetime. 50%, regardless of your income level, you'll never have to worry about money again in your life. Don't you believe me? I picked $12,500 because it was the average amount I made before I learned about money. I set my value so low before I applied basic math to my own existence. I could have never retired off of such an amount. To think I would only have earned $600,000, $15,000, while this is some guy's annual income from managing over labor instead of actually working seems insane. 50% of our time, energy, and focus will be absorbed into the quality of life, conquering our feelings of survival. If one is willing to apply their energy times focus over time, anything they wish will become obtainable. Do you know anything else you might have done with a year working at $12,000 a year part-time? How could you double this income level? Do you believe even $12,000 a year annually is enough to begin investing into your life to eventually earn 4 times this amount? Opportunity cost. You're driving home from work, you find yourself approaching your exit when you catch a new Armenian restaurant. This place is a few miles up the road from your exit to go home. You have leftovers in the fridge from eating out last night. You spend an average of $40 a meal. How much is the meal worth compared to eating at home? Now, you can see where savings and critical decision-making come into the picture. You can view this in terms of a meal or spending only $40 daily. This adds up quickly to making other people reach out. If often done, it's the equivalent of throwing away $300,000 if this is our daily spending habit over our lifetime. There are 2 costs when making a purchase. There's the dollar value and the end-use value. The dollar value, self-explanatory enough, is the price you pay. The end-use value, true value, is the qualitative application of what is purchased. In other words, what benefit does this purchase provide, and does it fulfill its determined result temporarily or long-term? This example shows clearly why many of us have poor spending habits because we purchase things at a high cost with equivalent, oftentimes less, true value to something of a fraction of its price. Spending a lifetime purchasing things without a true long-term return is the quickest route to poverty. Teaching this to your children will end your bloodline centuries earlier than needed. As you can see, your money can very quickly make other people rich without even noticing. Can you imagine redirecting this flow of income to your own pockets for 2 to 5 years? In fact, this is the case when facing generational poverty. We get a check the 2nd and 4th week of the month. Shortly after receiving our income, we must pay for shelter and our utilities. This is universal. However, after this, we made individual decisions on the hobbies and events to occupy our time and our income. If these are not fiscally profitable or qualitatively reciprocal, then we see an end to our money. If these occupations are profitable, then it's endless. Back to this example of eating out. There's sometimes a deeper quality of life impact on our decision. There are two ways I would approach the idea of eating out. Let's say you're a foodie with an Instagram and blog about your recent dishes. You go to the restaurant, you have a wonderful meal, explore the cultural history of the dishes, take great pictures, and create a food review. A foodie is someone whose psychological well-being is directly linked to the new foods they try. If there is a blog on this, then there's a possibility the expense for the meal will be covered through Google AdSense. For you and me, there's no question this will be coming out of our pocket or credit. This decision is split down the middle because we do not have any real psychological attachment, nor is it a side career. We eat the leftovers, never gain any cultural experience, remain unaware of the new options available. On the other hand, we can get a meal, refill on gas, ignore a phone bill, a home repair, or an event our friends asked us to attend. How would this situation be best handled for someone on a budget, severely saving money? First, go home and enjoy the food in your fridge. Make a note to visit in a week or so when you have a new flow of income. Once you have budgeted the future experience, you can invite a friend or spouse to split the bill over apps. You can see if there's a Groupon deal or specials during the week. Anything is better than a sudden dopamine-driven decision. These impulse purchases separate us from our hard-earned wealth. We could spend a day's or a week of wages in a single outing or in 2 days over the weekend. Our issue is not only income, but it's primarily outflow. If you quickly find yourself separated from your wages, the thief is in the mirror. Until we are able to raise our income, we must manage our outflow. The ultimate opportunity cost is using our outflow to reinvest in ourselves with certifications, courses, equipment, or software that can raise our income. Our income doesn't magically raise itself, and it raises in response to the problems we're able to solve for society and our community. Instant gratification is an accomplice of failure. Alone, it can be a great motivator, but combined with the weight of a financial future, $5 there and $10 there can change your life over a year. $5 a week is ultimately $260 a year, and $1,825 if spent every day. Can you imagine how people are getting rich off of you? On the other side of the coin, if you don't eat out, you can buy advertising on social media, hire someone on Fiverr, you can buy stocks or an online course, certification course, build your skills, gain new knowledge, and solve a critical life problem for yourself and no one else. Then visit the restaurant after you've completed a new project as a reward, not because you're too tired to cook. Limit your rewards out of impulses or entitlement, but after a process of earning income or solving your issues. Reprogramming yourself to delay dopamine and delay gratification, combined with savings, is essential to one day becoming an investor. One can be a successful business owner with goal-oriented savings and midterm gratification. However, the danger is in the variable gratification the scenario raises. One does not know if there will be any return on investment or any true satisfaction for their problems. The risk is evident, so I hope one can understand why I use the scenario of coffee in restaurants. This can be a drug addiction, taking the bus, using a laundromat or a car note, prepaid phones, or any small expense bleeding your wallet daily and monthly. This is your challenge. Identify all your over and secret expenses. Everything you know is depriving you of income. Do not be shy. You would only lie to yourself. Be 100% honest and use a page or two to track your expenses. 1. Track every single outflow of income in your day, week, and month. 2. Calculate the cost daily, 365, weekly, 52, and monthly, 12, continuing to use these expenses. Remember your 3 to 5 financial goals. Does the cost or process of any of these goals seem parallel to your current expenses? What are your major expenses? Reorganize your list from smallest to largest debts, expenses, and all outflows. 5. What expenses have been secretly holding you back? 6. What expenses offer you the highest true value? 7. Why do you spend money? Why do you spend money even when it's not offering a return, intrinsic, fiscal, or physical? Mastering the idea of opportunity cost is difficult to master because it must become tacit. It shouldn't feel like subjugation. One cannot master discipline. You can develop through a practice of discipline that is adjusted with awareness and balance until consistent. The key to identifying a good decision is allowing for delayed gratification. Remove your mind from the entitlement of what is deserved. Focus your soul instead on what is purposed or earned. Beyond your survival impulse or wanton desire, focus on your development, and your decisions cannot be manipulated, not even by your own perverse thoughts. If you have done these activities thus far, then it should be clear where your money is going. The application and mental practice of opportunity cost should then be inherited as an essential process in financial decisions. Do not adopt this as a way to be cheap, but as a process of managing a greater fortune entirely. What else can be done with the money should be your guiding focus. Can 3 to 5 months bring you closer to a financial goal or bring you out of debt? Can you convert an expense into a hobby or a skill set that can solve a problem or service for others? Then try it for 3 months and reevaluate what needs to be done financially for the next fiscal quarter. Budgeting. These former few installations give us a steady foundation to finally discuss budgeting. A budget is not a punishment or pathway to poverty. It is liberation and self-control. You may go over or under your budget. A budget is only a pathway. At least you have a baseline to act accordingly. Respect yourself by having a budget and abiding by protective discipline. Now, you can have a sense of your spending habits, saving goals, and a giving nature. According to Dave Ramsey, these are the 3 archetypes of finance. I believe them self-explanatory. If you're curious, listen to the man himself. He is very wise. This course is to make these ideas applicable for financial warfare for the next 1,000 generations and beyond. There are many teachers and books that teach you jargon, mysticism, and law of attraction. This course material is focused on being 100% applicable, pragmatic, and methodical. Let's proceed. Your expenses can be assets or liabilities. If you are a fan of Robert Kiyosaki, he describes assets as things that bring in money, liabilities cost you money. Are you getting the return of your initial investment or greater from the transaction over time? If you have more liabilities than assets, why do you keep spending your money? If you have nagging monthly expenses, what do they offer outside of finances for you to give your money away? Money is emotional. We allow it to flow where our mood dwells. Money can become a coping mechanism or expression of your internal condition. When you haven't developed a mentality to keep you from emotions, vice, sins, and bad habits, then a budget will keep them at bay. You need to be able to track your flow of money to maintain integrity to self. You only need a few expenses to live, and this will remain apparent for the next 1,000 generations and beyond. We need food, shelter, utilities, and transportation. These are your 4 big rocks to lay the foundation of your budget. Understand how many options focusing your finances here will bring you. Offer yourself a year to focus only on these 4 areas and saving 10 to 50% of your income for a year. You become a true financial warrior, able to conquer any financial goal through the habit and discipline you've built. In the following year, you can return to college, start a business, and properly manage a business because you first invested in managing your life. During this next year, stop using any liability if possible, or convert your liabilities into benefits financially or emotionally. You can create or purchase assets to bring in residual income. You can develop a hobby into a critical skill to keep you entertained when you wish to return to old vices or spending habits. Give yourself a year to become your own producer instead of a corporate consumer. The theory here is we have habits costing us money, but returning nothing emotionally or financially. This is causing strife in both areas of our life. We need a year to hard reset, reflect upon what our families have been doing, and heal ourselves from the ardor or stagnation. Moreover, the hypothesis is you will have more unused monies from sticking to a budget to complete your financial goals and get your life together. Limiting dead-gate expenses where your money goes one way with no return is like ending relationships where you are constantly disrespected by the other person. Your 5th big rock will be saving a minimum of 10 to 20% of income. This will create more options over the midterm before you're ready to manage a business, real estate, research market trends, or get a promotion. Why do I view things this way? Well, 30 to 50% of earned income is expected to be invested in these key essentials of life. In my lifetime, I've seen this cost people 50 to 80% because they wanted a lifestyle they couldn't afford. Then they make up for the rest in credit, loans, and debt. Credit loans and debt are the new taxes. Some people work all year for a nice tax return, but why not earn your money without worrying about other people trying to get rich off you or having control over your life? My method will free up 50 to 70% of your income to work to increasing your annual income or affording you a stress-free future. If your income is sufficient but your habits are poor, then you'll be outsaved by someone earning $12 an hour. Focus on controlling your expenses, achieving financial goals, and addressing your health concerns with proven methods, medicinal or medical, over addiction or self-destructive mentalities. Over a business quarter, you'll see the change. A man has a good and evil inclination. Remove the error of both sides by taking a neutral, narrow pathway with a budget and schedule. Set your budget and schedule to accomplishing your own goals in life. Charity is only culpable if you're getting a tax refund for the efforts. Otherwise, you're choosing to row with one oar. You can restrain your giving nature by being charitable with your service, your time, presence, influence, and love. These are physically obtainable things at any possible level. You can help work and network in reality. Do not rely on money and gifts to express love because it's only 1 out of 5 love languages. If this is your nature to give away money, you're focusing too much on the value of money, not the value of good money mechanics or financial discipline needed to earn money. Finances are not an excuse to be selfish. Like with a job, you offer your physical presence for income. Do it for your friends, family, and clients as well. Understand what it means to be of service beyond finances, then you can pursue a business or leadership. From the bottom of my heart and core of my research, my goal is for readers to achieve 5 to 7 months of savings, a $100,000 a year salary or annual earnings minimum, an 800 credit score, debt freedom, and to have a life unfettered by political turmoil. This isn't something a product or career will readily grant you. It's an earnest you must have to see the vision for yourself. A year of poor financial habits or emotional turmoil can misdirect your life for decades. If we have children, it can cause lifelong trauma, eventually conditioning their children to self-destruction. Save our future generations a lifetime of psychological and financial struggle by instead committing a year to a budget, a schedule, and healing from generational curses. If you follow this for a quarter, you'll see results. Create an annual vision, a 5-year plan, and make real-life adjustments for every quarter. Learn how to follow a plan for months, not days, before quitting. You can use any metrics needed according to your expenses, financial goals, and income level. You can have a simple budget to escape poverty by using 50% to address and improve quality of life, 20% to save for quarterly goals, and 30% to repay debt. Honestly, create your own budget. I'll tell you, it took quite a while to strongly consider either of these methods for finances. You need to consider your entertainment budget, which I created as sundries or charity. Sometimes the charity is visiting a friend's show, which may cost money or supporting their art. It could be taking a trip to the amusement park. If you save up for 2 months, then you'll have even more money to use. If you pay off your debt, then you'll have more money for savings or to create an asset. If your midterm financial goal is to be debt-free, then use a percentage of your savings to repaying debt for a powerful 40 to 50% to debt repayment. That's a lot. That's a lot to pay off your debt, bro. You ain't doing nothing else. You ain't doing nothing else. Investing. This is probably the most asked topic I get. Investing is viewed as important because money loses value every year. People want to know what to do with their money, rightfully so. And there are many people who believe they deserve your money much more than you do. You cannot save yourself rich is a popular phrase these days. You can indeed use goal-oriented savings for assets, which in turn will make you rich. Do not let the instant rich and new money distract you. Climbing from poverty into wealth is nowhere near the same journey as moving from middle class or pre-existing wealth. You are still capable, but you cannot use their method because it's often built upon tricking the poor and middle class out of money. If you budget your earned income, then save up money to execute major money moves, you'll win. I'll get into more detail, but you can be successful with this knowledge alone. You cannot rely upon someone's program, masterclass, or brand new opportunity. You must rely upon proven methods because there's no one to bail you out. This will be your advanced investing guide. There are four prime investments you can make at a higher level to build a future: real estate, intellectual property, a pre-existing business, and people. You notice how cryptocurrency, stocks, bonds, retirement funds, and insurances are not on the list. Starting a brand new business isn't on this list. You will get into these ideas later. Some of these methods are extremely volatile and could cost you your life savings if the market crashes. The others grow so slow or can cost extra if you ever actually need them. It's good to have all of these building blocks, but they are not a lifelong game plan. They are supplemental investments. Being able to have insurance cover a major disaster is great. It may also have your rates raised every month after said disaster. To being able to liquidate your stocks when you're in need of some extra income is nice. Then you must find the money all over again to be able to buy more. These ideas hold value in theory, but not often in actual practice. Some people will swear behind them, so I advise finding people earning millions in these fields to teach you. Specifically, find the people making millions who are not making millions off of selling the idea of stocks or cryptocurrency or insurance. First, let's discuss how you can actually multiply your money, not shelter or move your money. When I think of investing, I'm either thinking of opening an income stream or multiplying my income. This will then let you know what the best investment could be in the future. You're looking to move your money into an account where it's raising an interest. You can also use your money to build/create a product or to perform a service which earns more than it costs to produce. I simply want you to begin seeing an investment as a transaction generating more cash flow for you than you paid. I desire this because the mainstream perspective is serious: only stocks, business, bonds, real estate, mutual funds, retirement, and collectibles. Then your options for investments are exhausted. While there are a myriad of businesses and stocks to start, the success rate of both are sketchy. You can use the image of buying something for goodwill or finding a good deal on Facebook Marketplace. When you get the item, you notice it's in great condition but doesn't quite fit your needs. You can't believe how great the product looks. Do a bit more research and discover it originally cost 4 times what you paid. You have a conscience, so you resell the product for twice the amount, closer to its exact value, to another human. Or you sell it to a niche antique collector for its original price. You don't have the same control when it comes to stocks because you don't control any aspect of the business or how it's run. You're a spectator desperately dependent upon your equity increasing. I will proceed to direct you toward an entirely new perspective of earning money in a few minutes, as my eyes had been opened. Investing separates the poor from the rich simply due to opportunity cost. You can focus on buying a vacation home on a mortgage or a rental property. You can buy an eighth of weed for $35 or buy 100 stocks at 35 cents a share. You can save 10% of your income in a shoebox, or you can use the same 10% to buy books. I make it seem so simple because these are seriously the small decisions which limited me personally until I opened my eyes. You're praying in your mind that investing is harder than it seems, and my article is leaving you desperate for knowledge that your parents haven't given you. Your parents haven't failed you. You do not need to spend 10 grand on a master class for the answer. You probably want to believe you have no money to invest and you'll wait until you're rich. If you have $5 in your pocket, you can start investing. In 2019, I had a baby on the way and felt at my lowest point, wondering how I as a man could provide for my family. I did an experiment while earning only $12 an hour. I had more expendable income than most because I kept a budget. In 2018, life humbled me, so around this time I was still living with my grandmother. It was a neighborhood with one of those poppy stores where you can buy a foot-long sandwich for $2.50 or $3 for a honey turkey sandwich. You notice people playing lottery all the time with their spare money. You notice people playing the lottery all the time with their spare money or the first fruits from their paycheck. I wondered if the lottery could seriously be a great investment if so many people are doing it. I had an idea in my mind that altered my spending habits forever and revealed to me why I had such financial hardship these years. I would use my money on 15 lottery scratch-offs costing $1 each. $15 spent emotionally on cheap food, snacks, a dime in a wrap, $15 in marketing, $15 on an online class discounted by 80 to 90% from Stack Skills. I'm not sponsored, so it's just a good recommendation. Lastly, I spent $15 on a haircut to go to a real estate seminar to improve my appearance and fit in better in the network. Disclaimer, I did not play the stock market during 2018, but I have made my first investment to see how the stock market perform on the 20th of April 2020. Using money emotionally. Buying drugs offers a short-term qualitative return which may help you reach over the edge towards larger goals. The effectiveness varies drastically depending on your original mood, your level of comfort while smoking, and the quality of batch. There is no emotional gain smoking out of desperation in the freezing cold because you hate your life. Get drug counseling. This may be an addiction or serious chemical dependency. Drugs can also become a critical red flag in why you aren't achieving your dreams in life. If you smoke while or before you have something to do that day, you may be paying to sabotage yourself. Drugs can seriously slow you down and kill your ambition. I also find myself almost always doing something drunk or high. I can do perfectly fine for free while sober. Ultimately, I got little done, but thinking about a bunch of random ideas benefiting no one. There was no net gain in profits or quality of life. I was at a stalemate between higher calling and people only calling to get high. Moreover, when I got back to being sober, which I don't think is possible until after 2 to 3 days of using any mind-altering substance, that's because those first couple of days you face an insatiable craving for the prior experience, which is strenuous because as soon as you finish smoking, you swore it was the last time you would ever buy drugs. Your body is a howling wolf for more dopamine those first couple of days. This can very quickly become an all-consuming lifestyle revolving around chasing dopamine through drugs or television, sex, gambling, or even violence. You're dependent upon a rush of dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin, and then escape from reality instead of focusing on your dreams. This is not an investment. However, it can be therapeutic if done to resolve stress and budgeted properly. If you leave this habit to the wolves, it can devour your entire lifestyle with a very expensive drug habit. Use great discipline if you're a drug user, or simply stay away from drugs without curiosity if you're a virgin. You can only develop the great hunger of addiction if you taste it, so stay away. Waiting for the lottery. The experiment involved 15 loose change lottery scratch-offs. I won. I won. Lottery tickets are a great method if you enjoy negative returns on your investment. Lottery tickets are more addictive than drugs because they are quickly habit-forming, conveniently located, and they're legal. I invested $15 and I won $2. That's a huge 0.13% return on my money. I didn't even make my money back. These things are the equivalent of throwing your money away. Lotto performs equivalent to a drug addiction. It's a false promise funded by everyone else losing and a microscopic percentage of success. I already warned you about investing in sources benefiting upon your ignorance, but not the method itself. It leads you on enough to feel as if you're close. However, there's literally nothing you can do about this process because they are designed to be duds. They are designed, printed, and distributed to provide false hope. I find this sinful, sickening, and criminal, yet people signed up by the millions. The idea of a raffle is normalized as a part of booster clubs for football games. People spend so much of their hard-earned money to lose but could easily have been winners had they just put their weekly lotto money into retirement. I try to inform people quietly at the gas station, poppy stores, and convenience stores they could use their money to buy stocks instead. The store owners don't stop me, likely because they're tired of seeing it as well. However, you can't convince these people against their ways, just as many people stopped reading when I came at drug usage. People need to understand until you're filthy rich, your money is finite. This is akin to the core of finances. Being able to manage, allocate, and profit off of a limited resource. You do not have endless money or time. You have what you've earned or set up for yourself, then it's possible you may not have anything. Opportunity cost could save your life, but if you keep ignoring you're making clear cut bad financial decisions, you'll struggle. Marketing to know your audience. Marketing is an iffy investment. It depends entirely on the value of your product and scientific approach to your advertising. It takes a great deal of experimentation, and with most advertising, it can end up costing you thousands that earned resplendent results. Even if you're new to marketing and advertising, you can gain followers, get leads, or great exposure. It typically takes 7 contacts with a person before securing them as a client. Your first advertisement may not bring in sales. It'll give you great experience, however, to be successful. If you invest $100 towards a campaign, then you can expect a 3% conversion rate. If you have no idea what you're doing, then $15 should suffice. I found $15 over a day isn't worth your time unless collecting data. You'll be better off at $10 a day rates. If you're merely attracting leads, then you should be able to get away with $5 a day for 3 days. If there's no winner between drugs and lottery tickets, one has the opportunity to ruin the life, the other can ruin your finances. I focus honestly within cannabis circles and advertising my books. These are purely expenses for me because it hasn't been until recently I've learned from my mistakes. If you consider the emotional and mental aspect, then yes, Mary Jane is a nice reward, not an investment. Marketing and advertising can be a great investment only if you have any idea what you're doing. Otherwise, you're only spending money to feel productive, not for an actual real life result. It's difficult to get the results we desire without the knowledge we need. The best investments I ever made in my life revolve around furthering my skills in education, expanding in new skills, techniques, and fixing my mistakes. These got me strides ahead of where I had been previously and helped me figure out where I had been wrong. Improving my understanding has made me more money and helped me financially more than any other method. The life lessons I gained were important as well. Though the life lessons didn't help me gain much money, only spend it Though the life lessons didn't help me gain much money, only spend it incredulously until I hit a wall and had to learn survival. I had a good friend break down the idea of the importance of money. His parents brought him a business refueling vending machines. It started at his parents' offices, then spread around. He was an inch over 21 with a business to sustain his college lifestyle. It also teaches entrepreneurship at the only level it is mastered, hands on. All the advice and teachings don't matter at all if someone can't physically use your answer to their problem. Ideas create great wealth, but not theories, only results. The goal of this lesson is to create multiple streams of profit generating income. If it's costing you money without producing you earnings, it stops now. Budget your expenses properly if you want to play games or have vices. A minimum of 20% needs to be again being saved in order to help you open up your streams of income in the next business quarter and especially within a year. I'll speak from my first-hand journey. 1. I began evolving my acumen when I had a linear stream of income at a modern Mexican restaurant. This method is known as earned income or N1. When you exchange your time for money. However, what people need to realize is that if you actually have expertise, skills, knowledge, or the need attributes, people will pay you accordingly. People can earn $20,000 annually, of course. However, people do indeed earn $50,000 or even $100,000 from their single salary. Do not sleep on returning to college, getting a trade, or getting a certification to earn some money. The good old fashioned way. It is the only method 100% guaranteed to get you a paycheck. 2. Profit income. Profit income is when you exchange goods or services for money. Between jobs, I sustained myself making websites, selling books, doing lawn care, helping others create their books. I also had a side hustle called EP&E that evolved into Millennial Millions, which evolved into this. Employee preparation and empowerment created resumes, cover letters, LinkedIn profiles, and helped people find jobs. I also did sales and marketing for people while working a job. I learned most of these skills from online classes, personal experiences, and YouTube videos. You earn as much as you're willing to sharpen your skills. 3. I experimented with interest income or M2, using money to make money. When you're practically a bank, I learned out money with a 10% return during a brief stint making Louisiana-style chicken. I learned to manage my money quite well, so others began seeking my money instead of my knowledge. I loaned out $100 at a time, making mere $10 back. However, this was 3 to 5 days before their paychecks to ensure I got my money. I didn't like the feeling of waiting/relying on another person paying me back. If you give money to a friend, consider it a gift. If you give money to a coworker, consider them a friend. You can only do this with people who have a high rapport with you. People typically use this method to help businesses launch off the ground. You get, depending upon your share of the profits, typically 10 to 50% annually after the first 3 years. Credit card companies make their money this way off of you. Sometimes they charge very little interest upon your debt. It can also be as high as 33% if you have a poor credit score and a raw deal. You may get approached by a strange contact you've given your number to, or who maybe you're friends with on social media. They'll ask you if you're interested in financial freedom. I nearly joined Amway because they promised passive income. I thought they were preparing me something to earn millions in a year. If you get into the group, they'll tell you it takes time, you need a steady job to fit their culture. The goal is to eventually ditch your job and join the high rollers. These are more like paid social clubs they call mentorships. The issue most people have is that the real money is in recruitment, not the products they disguise their methods with. You could very well be successful in this field. The issue is the same as marketing. If you do not have a high value product, then you'll only burn bridges feeling no one supports you, or if you're dumb, or if they're dumb for not joining an MLM. If you don't have a high value product, then you only burn bridges feeling no one supports you, or if they're dumb for not joining an MLM. We're only halfway through the list. There are other ways to get rich. I do not ever recommend joining an MLM or passive income opportunity within something currently sustaining you. I totally understand you hate your job and want an answer to your problem as soon as possible. Have a reliable stream of income you can rely upon. There are monthly fees and you must buy your own product. If you can't actually benefit from the product yourself, then join. If you're finding a stretch how you could use the product, then other people's won't join you. There's dividend income when a company pays its shareholders according to their equity. I want you to view it as the amount of money you'll make if a company liquidated everything. If your shelter was sold tomorrow, what percentage would be yours in cash? I've experienced with stocks I've gotten a 3-7% return on. I've experienced with stocks. I have a 3 to 7% return on my initial investment. If one invested $100 to $1,000, my recommendation is to leave your money there and walk away. You must view each stock investment as a 1 to 5 year deposit until you withdraw. You can become a day trader or a forex trader, but this would be a job and earn income no matter what people tell you. It wasn't since I was young my parents earned rental income from a few properties. I've seen them rent out single family homes, do multifamily homes, a halfway house, and it broke my heart when a property we owned for over a decade was foreclosed on. The only real volatility is dealing with people who may not pay you on time or at all. If you pursue this route, then you must set clear rules of the agreement. I wouldn't rent to people in dire situations unless you can afford the loss. If you want to help people in need, then work through HUD or Section 8 housing. This can make you a millionaire, but rental properties have a great demand for expertise and expenses. Hire a manager included in the cost of the property. Capital gains are when your assets increase in value, similar to our antique example. Your initial investment sells for a higher price. The actual product must be sold for capital gains. I honestly do not have much experience in this field due to youth and impatience. I'll venture into this topic this year and find an expert to interview. A stream of income I experimented with for a while is royalty income. Intellectual property people pay you to use. This is one of the best methods for any level because while you need a cash investment, you primarily need a talent or solution. If you don't have a clear-cut solution, then you can create art if you have a talent. Your major investments will be hiring others, improving quality, and distribution. This can be hit or miss depending on if you're solving a problem or adding value. People replace their earned income with royalty income. I know a few people who are able to combine both to make a great life. Where do you start? I highly recommend removing any idea there's a competition between which method will work best for you. Why? You'll only earn based off your expertise, comfort with each stream's unique volatility, and great patience. While there are master classes saying you could earn $10,000 a month starting tomorrow if you take their course, I believe 1 to 5 years is a fair amount of time to judge the performance of an asset. Real life changing returns come within 5 to 10 years. Can you imagine if you dedicated yourself for 20 years to become an expert within real estate, capital gains, and your current industry of operation? A final note before I put you to work. I love using the term volatility instead of risk because of the connotation. Drinking and driving is risky. I think of reckless immediately. Waiting for a stock to rise and seeing if it falls is volatile. You have no control over the market or people, but the movement is inevitable. I don't believe investing is reckless because you often cannot save yourself rich. You can, however, make critical financial decisions to improve your life. With this information I've given you, your goal is to enter M3. Method 3 is utilizing multiple streams of income in order to grow wealth. The best method is like a filter, utilizing your primary source of income to pay off necessities of life and invest in a secondary source of income. The secondary source of income can pay off your bills and to invest in a tertiary source of income. Your third stream of income can pay off your lifestyle and invest in a fourth or fifth. Your fifth source of income can purely fund the sixth and seventh source of income. Your sixth source of income can support your future generations, while your seventh source of income creates a momentum eighth stream. Action phase. You must take an immediate critical action to this information. You must take immediate critical action to cement this information. I'm not going to sell you a product, a service, or a dream. My focus in these articles is your education. Be at ease moving forward. 1. Invest $10 in marketing, $2 a day for 5 days to gather information on your audience. Invest another $10 in stocks getting started immediately. Observe your results for at least a week. Invest $20 in the most volatile market between the two after fixing your method with your observations. Volatile would be the market experiencing the most changes through the week. Invest $10 in the most stable market. Observe your results, then research why those changes occurred. Research the company, the CEO, the CFO, the COO, the chairman, the work conditions, and employee company reviews. Fully research the companies. For marketing, you need to relax. Analyze your search query versus the results you are being given. What locations yield the greatest return? Do your base audience surprise you? If so, how can you better reach them? It can take you 1 to 2 weeks to do your company research. Now you've learned all you can about the company you have and invest your money within. Invest $50 now, however you see fit. Let me know what you're doing. Use goal-oriented savings at 20% for 3 weeks, 3 months, and 3 years at 20 to 30% your income. In 3 weeks, make your next investment in one specific stream of income according to your budget. I recommend better earned income, profit income, royalty income, or continuing in dividend income with stocks at this level. These are easy to start with certification classes or research without losing a great amount of money. Whatever you pick, you spend the next 3 months learning toward mastery. In 3 months, make your next investment in a specific stream of income. This is when it's safer to do passive income because you won't miss the money if you lose it. You can also earn capital gains by purchasing low and selling high with physical items or collectibles. In 3 years, invest in either rental properties or a business. If neither of these strike your interests, then gain interest income by investing in an artist, a philosopher, or take a great rejuvenating vacation beyond your wildest dreams for the pure emotional return. In 5 to 10 years, create 8 streams of income using single, doubles, and triples of the income streams given to you. Diversify and tell me about your success over the years. Be sure to never invest in what you don't understand or under high pressure. Investing is a long-term decision. Network in the field you're investing your money in to learn as much as you can. Don't be cocky or a chump. Be pound-wise and penny-foolish. The key to success is consistency. Faith is good. Be pound wise and penny foolish. The key to consistency is faith, good research, and the power of patience. Victory is over the horizon, not at eye level. Closing remarks. Be patient with yourself, with the market, with your friends, with your family, with your God. Life doesn't move day by day, it's shifted by years, decades, and centuries. Widen your scope. Volatility, atrophy, adversity, and challenges are the key to growing in the chapter. If you are homeless, this method can help you live a great life. If you're a rich man, then this has given you guidance on how to utilize your wealth. With this being said, if you absolutely have no money to invest starting from $0, then your greatest investment while poor will be the greatest investment you make when you're eventually wealthy. Invest your time and focus into reading books, listening to audios, and taking online courses. If you're a student, then focus on finishing your education. Life can be a video game. Learn skills, invest in your talents, and grind. If not, you'll never beat the boss battles of life. You must invest in your knowledge to overcome anything facing you. Getting a nice linear stream of income has a high financial return, a high emotional return, and can create a great network for you. The key is creating a work environment of synergy, community, and encouragement. Too many people use the workplace for drama less than negativity. This is where MLMs become very desirable because they have high energy, positive, competitive environments for entrepreneurs. There may be a cost for any good decision you make, but you must believe in the profit return. If you don't know anyone interested, you'll have to endure the difficulty of creating a brand new market segment for success. One must make decisions lasting more than a few minutes or hours. When you invest, you're making long-term decisions, lifelong decisions. If you can't buy 5 at that time, don't buy a single one to avoid risk. Group economics. If you have a phone or television, then you're unable to avoid the racial tensions hijacking every productive discussion. I want to admit it's incredibly difficult if you've left your home in the past 24 hours to ignore the massive contradiction between reality and the media. If you've been stuck in the house, then you probably believe everything the news says. The media is focused on profit, not poverty, nor solving social issues. I believe ignoring the media can be the healthiest decision you'll make. Ignore the media in order to do your own research and focus on your own neighborhood. You need to think for yourself and fix your personal issues. My focus is empowering the poor and working class to put their homes in order first. We must fix our municipalities and states instead of focusing on voyeurism. We are often being told what to think through the media. Often there is no realistic dialogue or perspective. We are forced to trust the image and have a polarized opinion, not to create the media and create discourse. We must all become active producers and creators rather than passive consumers. For a good number, we can never imagine doing this in our own capacity. The great news is that we don't have to do it alone. There is rarely anything built in singularity. Group economics is a collective approach to wealth. The greatest method to use is group economics. The rejection of group economics for pessimistic individualism or idealistic narcissism creates great poverty. Indeed, many of us do not know what to do with our finances or politically, that we end up following the latter groups. There's no benefit being a poor individualist led by narcissists or sociopaths. Being able to build, maintain, and galvanize relationships with others is the meaning of life. It's the sole key to survival. Group economics is often ignored because we do not solve our relationship issues before seeking wealth. We often seek money at the expense of other people, our families, and our own health, defeating the purpose of building wealth. Instead of this failed method of generational poverty and the hard work culture, I propose focusing on meaningful, healthy relationships built on understanding, not being a parasite, an abusive tyrant, or a loner. These latter methods are not beneficial and are the key to failure. I found a great story of 5 young men who bought their first rental property. Do you know how these gentlemen achieved such a feat? They each saved only $50 a week for 2 years. Yes, we're about to do math. First, let us imagine the efforts of one man earning $500 a week. He saves 10% of his income in goal-oriented savings for 52 weeks. First, let us imagine the efforts of one man earning $500 a week. He saves 10% of his income in goal-oriented savings for 52 weeks. 50 times 52, 2,600 for a single year. 50 times 104, $5,200 for 2 years, for the average man at a 10% savings rate. While this seems grossly unfair, this income of $2,000 a month is unfortunately the reality of many Americans. Now let's say this man has a brother, a cousin, and two good friends, each tired of living in poverty, tired of a meager life of quiet desperation. They form the idea to earn a rental property, and each takes a share of profit. They would collectively save $26,000 from only 10% of their income after 2 years of work. This is enough for a 20% down payment of a $130,000 property. Luckily, even if one of the men were unemployed before this agreement, it takes 2 years of consistent employment to apply for a mortgage. This means every 2 years they can buy a new home. In 10 years, they can each own their own rental property utilizing this method. If they wanted to utilize 20%, they could speed this process up to 5 years. This is a method many immigrants currently use in order to build businesses for newcomers in America. Yet it's something many Americans would never consider as they attempt to live the American dream alone in spite of their haters. The beautiful part about rental property is that they can use all profits to invest in any other source of income to expand their wealth. This means in 5 to 10 years they can each walk away to live with their families without any financial concerns, living a polar opposite existence than when they began. You can be a pessimistic poor individualist who worked tirelessly for 10 years for their first rental property. Alternatively, you can take my advice to become a generative phase good friend until each become a wealthy landowner with your best buddies in 5 to 10 years. If you must question the morality and dedication of your closest friends, then now you understand why many suffer. We are the 5 people we spend the most time with, good or bad. We are raised in environments where we learn not to trust ourselves or others, then live in some bitter psychosis. If you want to change your life, then you must be loving, faithful, and trusting in order to survive. You don't have to extend this to anyone, but those you deem worthy. You don't need to extend this to every last person you meet, especially not if they've proven themselves antisocial and untrustworthy. This brings me to one of the most misunderstood institutions in America, holy matrimony. Marriage is the key to survival, and we've had these partnerships since the beginning of time. Perhaps you don't have 4 people to fully understand you. You can consider at least one person you want to spend 10 to 50 years of your life beside through all adversity and difficulty. We have a falsified perspective of marriage. Marriage is for partnerships, not control. Marriage is best when you delegate people to their strengths, not artificial roles. For 2 people to see the same results as 5 people, then one must combine their resources, especially their income. We no longer live in an age where the average couple can live off one salary to enjoy life. Consider it a blessing if you earn $50,000 annually and can have one partner stay home with the kids. If you're not fortunate to be so close to financial freedom, then you must balance your efforts with your partner to use a humble budget to save your lives. We have collectively confused marriage with a man-made construction, not a natural occurrence for animals or the truly divine pathway of character growth God needs of us. One can even argue denying the need for this divine growth is why many people end up divorced, not a failure of relationships itself, but individuals. There are many people who unfortunately attempt to rob their partners of finances and joy. Worse, there are people who refuse to date anyone who is incapable of providing a Disney princess lifestyle. Ignore both these parasitic personalities because they cannot make it in life alone and will use you until you are completely drained of life. Focus on souls who will stand by you when you both have nothing as you climb God's divine pathway of grace and faith. Let's present a scenario. You'll fall in love with someone who works at a local diner. You find yourself visiting to say hello or walking them home after work. Eventually, you form a real partnership, discuss your dreams to get out of your jobs, and you decide to move in together. You both earn roughly the same amount of $500 a week. You both want a house, stock options, and a business. Here's your couple's action plan with some more arithmetic. As individuals, you both need to save 20% for goal-oriented savings each week. 100 out of 500 must be put aside toward the dream. Then you utilize an additional 5% to buy stocks using Robinhood, TD Ameritrade, or whatever online brokerage you wish. In 1 year, you've saved $5,200 for your financial goals and have invested $1,300 in the stock market. If you invested well, then you'll likely see a 5 to 7% return, $1,365 to about $1,391 in stocks. This is individually. To me, this is quite impressive living off a modest budget. Now, as a couple, after a year of love, discipline, understanding, and unity, you two have $10,400 set aside and $2,730 to $2,782 in stock options. You can easily double these numbers for year two, but typically a healthy relationship acts as a muse. Let us say after year one, your partner leaves the diner and finds a better job. They go from $12.50 an hour to $15 an hour. Now they earn $600 a week. Your personal income remains the same as you buckle down at work and earn a promotion. Your personal income remains the same as you buckle down at work to earn a promotion. One of you must keep your job at least 2 years to apply for a good mortgage. Your savings and investments remain consistent. 5,200. Your savings and investments remain consistent. 5,200. Your savings and investments remain consistent. 5,200 and 1,300 respectively, as previously stated. Your partner, however, can now save $6,240. Your partner, however, can now save $6,240 and invest $1,560. In your second year, you two have put away another $11,440. This makes $21,840 by year two in total savings. In addition, you two decide you want to liquidate your stocks from last year at $2,800 when given the opportunity in order to launch a business. Combined with your investment budget of 5% from your second year, you now have around $5,700 to start a business. This is much more cash than many businesses have used to start. You two can now make a down payment for a $100,000 starter home and begin planning your family. That's what only 2 years of discipline and opportunity cost gain you. It takes a bit more work, of course. However, a marriage can produce great returns financially, psychologically, and socially. You'll always have your best friend in marriage if done properly. Do not buy the hype of struggling as a couple or single. I have presented you with a far worthier goal to shoot for than endless adversity. If this is what one couple could do, then could you imagine 5 couples working in tandem towards similar goals? Next, we will discuss members of your family possibly combining their efforts to create a family bank. A family bank is a contractual agreement to pool your money together to save until it's needed to improve your family's station in society. For any financial decision utilizing the family's money, you must gather together to reach consensus. This is a technique already utilized by many families and even communes. The strategy I will provide is, of course, for a humble, low-income, and working-class family. However, this is best utilized after your first couple of years once you've achieved your 2-year promotion or have invested in certification to earn more money. Your goal is always to maximize your total income to better utilize these percentages. Simply take the figures from your couple results. I will present 2 helpful perspectives. The first is utilizing only 20% for 2 years at $21,840. Each sector of the family will contribute to this amount, totaling to $100,000, $9,200 after 2 years. You could buy $1 million family mansion in 5 years, though paying off the mortgage probably wouldn't be fun. In 2 years, you can get a $500,000 home for all members you contributed or fix up and flip, perhaps double your money to become millionaires. The second is utilizing the entire 25% at $27,540 for each family after 2 years. This would be $100,000. This would be $137,700 in 2 years for a poor family, enough to get each family a home in only 2 years. In 10 years at this rate, your family could save $600,088.500 while keeping the majority of your own income. This is again without any interest, no overtime or pay raises, just raw collective savings and group discipline. The alternative is that you can watch your flesh and blood struggle in a capitalist society as your family slowly erodes and your bloodline dies. The choice is yours, really. If your family can't see the vision, you alternatively would need 10 people to pull this off with, of the same size instead of savings. That's only 10 people. What about being able to pull together your entire neighborhood? Can you imagine utilizing that 5%, $1,300 with 10,000 people to fix up your neighborhood and create programs for at-risk children, you would have $13 million in 1 year from only 5% of your incomes. If you can convince them to use 20%, $5,200 for only a single year, then you would have $52 million to fix your town. Now ask yourself, where's your tax and church dollars going? Even a small town of 3,000 people like mine would have a great margin. You could repair your homes, buy vacant homes from the state of from you could repair your homes, buy vacant homes from your state or bank, fix infrastructure utilizing local businesses, build those needed businesses in your town, and most importantly, create programs to keep kids off the street, thus eliminating crime long term in your neighborhood. These efforts could revolutionize black neighborhoods and save the lives of millions of children. We do not need one person with great riches to save us. We do not need to rely upon a president or government. All we need are the regular citizens in our towns creating true friendships and networks to solve our problems. This is also a strategy permitting people who would originally struggle to be able to embrace the American dream. This is something we must do together to win. Group economics is the only way to bridge the income disparity in America. Action phase. 1. Start your true understanding of group economics by saving 5% of your income with a good friend or your life partner to take a vacation somewhere with a greater exchange rate. 2. Find one person to discuss building a stream of income and form a mastermind alliance. Get started next pay period and proceed for 2 to 50 years. Ideally, talk about this with your good friend while enjoying strawberry daiquiris. 3. Network with 4 to 7 people in order to build rapport in order to engage in a major group economic stream of income. Show them this article. Talk about savings rates and which stream of income you all want to invest in. If you get multiple ideas from this meeting, then prioritize which would be easiest to start up in order to fund your next idea. 4. Talk to members of your family you love and trust in order to discuss a family bank or a family savings plan. 5. Change your perspective to accommodate working with other people to achieve your goals. You no longer have to struggle alone. You can strive alongside those you love and trust. Create a team of friends and a mastermind alliance to become successful. Self-marketing strategy. The easiest part. Marketing is the easiest part, my friend. If and only if you are willing to put forth either time or money. Time is the most valuable commodity at our consumption. If this is spent double-clicking and staring at IG models or depressing memes, you'll be ineffective. I'll be honest with you. You can contact me, and out of all services I might help you with, out of all the kindness of my heart, there are two: marketing and websites. Both are so intricately straightforward, there are such thin margins for success or complete dissatisfaction. There are no panaceas in the world, sorry folks. No get-rich-quick scheme, no easy way out. This is going to be easy, for real, but so arduous. I dread social media. Everyone is out of their minds about this newfangled social media contraption to solve all their clientele, cash flow, marketing, and self-esteem problems. If we all got a tax break every time someone built an entire business around social media and ended up a con man wolf, these people are crazy. They charge $10,000 for the service, and the manipulation is so real that they guilt you into buying it. I used to be a salesman, for real. We can get you to sign your name on anything given the right incentives. There are so many fakes, liars, bot fans, bot likes, and local celebrity accounts that the idea you're going to start an account tomorrow and blow up in 30 days is narcissistic, to say the least. You need 45 days. At times, even the good old 2 to 3 year goal. So many people we know as famous started as nothing like you and I. They gained a local celebrity, then moved into the higher realms of life. No one at all starts off knowing everything or being amazing. We started off not knowing how to use a toilet, walk, or lift our own necks. Cut yourself some slack. It's not too long ago you were in diapers. You don't need to have 1 billion or even 100K followers to be successful, though it doesn't hurt at all, and it is a worthy goal if you plan to interact with 1 million people daily. I do not. I remember starting my first new account with literally 0 followers. Now, some of those accounts that started with me are inactive, have 30K followers, or bot accounts or ghost accounts. I interacted on average with 10% of my followers. Even as my account grew, I remember my first burst in reaching 500 followers. How active, hands on, and deep into my phone I was creating content, recording videos, and liking everyone and everything. I sat around 1,600, a decent number I worked very hard for, but pales in comparison to the larger accounts managed by one person. I've made so many friends and gotten so much love on social media, but I don't really get sales on social media. Not specifically because I'm using social media. I would get it doing the same thing I would do using text message, having a phone call, talking in person, or knocking at your door. I had a conversation, build rapport, found their pain points, and closed the deal. It doesn't matter what medium you use. The methods do have variants, but those are honestly learning how to use the platform, learning its algorithm, and then going through the tedium of engagements. Some people love engagements, I imagine, and some people also love Twitter. I've gained most of my clientele by building relationships the old fashioned way and then moving to social media to maintain a relationship. What you're going to learn. A very straightforward, optimal, and concise monthly marketing plan, the basic knowledge of how to create a marketing campaign, and personal changes one can make while using social media in order to grow a brand or business. This is easy, perhaps simple, but it is hard work at the same time, so we must honestly be more aware of what's wrong in order to do what's right. You will compare what you do to the following advice and make the needed changes. Let's dive in so you can start marketing in this section's challenge. 1. Create a niche, target audience. 2. Make sure your timeline, feed/display is consistent to your niche. 3. If it is a brand new account or you haven't marketed consistently in a while, then post 5 to 10 pictures or videos to break the inertia. 4. Post at least one picture daily consistent to your niche. 5. You must engage, like, follow, and comment with those in your niche. This is what takes so long and so much effort. If you enjoy doing this, your account will grow quickly. If you're like me and you're not a fan of being on social media, your account will stagnate. 6. Follow this simple formula until you reach 5,000 followers. 7. Once you reach 5,000 followers, aim for the Explore feed by quickly gaining 5 likes and 5 comments by tagging your biggest fans as soon as you release the post. 8. Find an engagement group to recruit you. Alright, we're done. Course over. Go out and conquer. You're still here. You're still listening. So you believe because the other guides are like 2 to 5,000 words, this one has to at least break 1,000? Didn't I tell you that marketing is easy? I spent so many days not getting sleep to make this course. You can't give me a break? All right, I'm going to make sweet love to your expectations. 8 tasks in depth. As I said earlier, you're going to be investing so much time and energy creating work that when it comes to marketing, you may take it for granted. We think our creations or bullocks are the greatest gift to mankind. However, due to algorithms, your own mother may never see your content because you don't post enough, don't engage, and basically only use social media when you need something. In order to become an influencer, you must be contributing education, entertainment, motivation, or human connection daily. In order to become an influencer, you must be contributing education, entertainment, motivation, or human connection daily in order to become a top profile. You wanted more deluxe high-value content? I'm your Huckleberry. Niche. A niche is a quiche with an N. You have to really try it a few times from a few different people to know if it's for you or not. Your niche is your target audience, target subject, and target connections. What people do you want consuming your content? Who are you seeking to build relationships with? What is it you enjoy creating or talking about the most in life? I love talking about the higher nature of spirituality, but connecting this back to reality. It's difficult for me to create a specific niche at times or categories because I feel my content is for everybody. That's bad. Selling to everyone is the equivalent of selling to no one. Take a couple days, not minutes, viewing the long term. At the end of 3 years of promotion, marketing, and creation, who do you want to hang out with and where will you find these people on social media? Those will become the hashtags, niche, and content you produce to garner their attention, raise their intrigue, and begin forming relationships with them. Newsfeed and timeline. Depending on how many people you're following determines how full your newsfeed will seem. The more people from different niches and audiences, the more erratic and confusing your newsfeed will appear at any point of the day. The fewer niches and audiences, then your newsfeed may seem repetitive from reposting the same content, and you'll struggle to stand out if your content isn't unique. The more you distinguish yourself and interact with other accounts, the more effective your posts will be toward entering other people's news feeds. This is something that takes daily effort to work on and perfect. The focus early on in your social media usage is reaching people's news feeds. From there, and then the Explorer feed. The inertia of marketing. An object at rest stays at rest. An object in motion stays in motion. Unless you put forth an amazing effort or incredible resistance comes against your content, posting daily will help you create greater content. However, not posting for months on end, how can you get angry or frustrated when you pop up after a year of inactivity and people aren't dying to hear from you? People miss what has been around every day of their lives, that they feel they're building a connection alongside. When that connection is interrupted after a high affinity was built, then you'll be missed like a Jerry Electronica album. If not, you're training people to be detached from you. I felt this on both sides. When you're new to social media growth, taking a hiatus from social media, then you need to build momentum. This is the major driving force to reaching 5,000 as quickly as possible as a goal. The more traffic and viewers you have, the larger possibility you'll sell your products or services. Honestly, the major conversion rate for any account is at least 2% of those who engage will convert to a follower, customer, or past customer. At the most, you'll receive 10% conversions, so creating a larger audience will only benefit you. Post 5 to 10 times in short succession over 1 to 3 days to get back into people's newsfeed, then work to post at least once daily. Daily effort. Creating a practice or habit of getting your social media goals out of the way is the most important aspect of usage. You can have one day of liking 10 pictures, forgetting to post, and never opening Instagram or Facebook again that day because of sloth. What's beneficial is at least posting so people can interact with you and your focus can be dedicated to those reaching out to you alone. If you are a content creator, try creating content daily to raise your frequency of conversions to offset the conversion rate. If you are not a content creator, creating content isn't too hard. Spend 3 to 5 minutes using Canva, write compelling blog posts like captions in your notes prior to posting, then choose your hashtag's location, and last, tag your 5 to 20 biggest fans that hit the Explore feed. Engagements and interactions. All the efforts on social media to reach out to another person are an engagement. Interactions are likes and viewing. How effective your post is with engaging with people. That is what determines what reaches everyone's newsfeed and, above all, what creates enormous accounts. Doing this organically is the best bet to gain an authentic following yourself. Using bots or third parties can get your account blocked or filled with fake accounts that don't provide any engagement or interactions. You want to build real relationships with people. From the eyes of a door-to-door salesman, you should be trying to function under the highest volume possible. If you are very ambitious, every day you should be shooting for 100 comments and likes on unique profiles, and then interact with your biggest fans, those who consistently view and engage with your content. This can take a lot of effort and work. Ensure that your comments are at least 4 words and unique as not to seem like a bot, but copy-paste can be your best friend here. You can be successful in social media taking a niche approach and only engaging with people who support and like your content. There is the mass marketing concept as well of trying to engage with 200 to 500 people daily. You will only get back what you're capable of doing consistently every day. If that's only 50 likes and 20 comments, then stick to that regimen and be consistent. Your 5,000 followers. As I stated, I'm starting from 1,600 followers. I reached 1,000 after being stuck at 500 for months, then exploded after an advertising campaign. I used to post frequently and often. Daily contribution into the community. I did most of my marketing in Uber or Lyft rides, door-to-door, public events. So many of the people I interact with never transferred to Instagram. I have no real direction or goals because I didn't want the extra attention. However, now you can track my personal efforts and journey by following my Instagram account and watching my growth. Once you hit 5,000, you begin gaining more momentum to succeed, especially if it's your consistent efforts building toward your success in this arena. This is a worthy midterm goal, but certainly is not a long term goal with focused and daily effort, not to mention have high value content. The Explore page. Outside your news feed, this is probably where the great deal of your time is occupied already. This is where you run into content trending all over the world from people you've never met before. If you hope to become an influencer, then this is where you hope to end up trending. You must gain a lot of traction on a post as soon as it's posted. This is a lot easier if you're already having posts that hit big in the news feed and get a great reception. It's impractical to reach the Explore feed if you only receive 5 or 20 likes a post. Your content must break the mold of your following page, and likely the 10% conversion rate to hit exponential possibilities. Engagement groups. Once you reach 5,000 followers and manage to reach the Explore page a few times, you'll likely be looked at by engagement groups. An engagement group is a gathering of influencers where they schedule their posts and sync themselves up to respond abundantly to the people in the group. This is usually done with large accounts. You might even need to hit 10K followers before finding the biggest engagement groups, but this is something we can organize within the class to build up our following. Contact me and DM me if interested. Goals over success. Our goal is to build an incredible fan base in selling our products. There's a simple process in order for you to achieve success and replicate the process throughout the year. In this age, there are a variety of options available for us to promote and distribute our works. However, where most fail is a lack of a personal schedule in order to maintain the lifestyle of a creator and relevancy in the market. We must have your solution, and it's a very simple fix. Your goals are incredibly helpful to setting yourself up for success and results. I would set a weekly milestone, but focus on making your goals about your personal efforts, i.e., 50 likes a day or 25 comments a day, rather than I want to get 100 followers every day. If you don't create SMART goals, then you'll fail and then be dissuaded from trying again. Make your goals about things you can personally do rather than the dependency on the reactions or response of others. Marketing strategy for everyone. Every week with your milestone, how will you accomplish these goals? This guide greatly educates you in the exact way to make a strategy, but I'll put what we went over in a digestible format. I like to use a single objective and 4 tactics, for example. Objective: 100 new followers a week or 5,200 new followers a year for my specific niche. Tactic 1. Create one high-value post a day using Canva, hashtags, location, and long caption. Tactic 2. Engage with 100 plus accounts a day using 25 to 75 likes and 25 to 75 comments. Tactic 3. Focus primarily on accounts already engaged with my account, my content, and my niche. Tactic 4. Do not miss a single day of posting or engaging with people exclusive in my niche. Focus. You use focus. Follow one course until successful. This is a game-winning strategy I will be implementing starting today. However, I like to try these things for 30 days straight before adjusting, if not even longer. If it's not working, you might want to raise your engagements or move on to posting more content daily. If you don't have high engagement, you might need to focus on accounts outside of your following base. If you have mostly ghost followers, you might want to reduce your followers to show more exclusivity. Conclude. Alright, we're done here. You have everything you need to be successful on social media. What? You still have questions? Questions in your head that I haven't answered yet? You still need more? I love you, Habibi. All right, let's get it. We're going double overtime. Here are 8 more major tips to ensure everyone leaving this course is indomitable, unstoppable, and we all grow successful and rich. All right, let's get it. 8 tips to elevate your business marketing. Become your own taskmaster. Too many people give artistry and entrepreneurship a bad name because they're lazy as all hell. They're lazy, entitled, greedy, and want fame too much, then quit when they don't get it in their first month. There's more to be done than will ever be finished. Ever realize why it's called a busyness and not an easiness? Now you know. You're responsible for creating your workload now, and no one else. If you're getting results in marketing or making money, it's quite literally something you, one, have not done, two, you have not thought of doing, two, you don't know how to do, four, have not set time apart to learn, five, haven't applied. Daily personal tasks to keep accomplishing even on your rest days. Writing of your journey in a journal, in a list form, journaling, a diary, a plan of attack, or take 30 to 40 minutes to do all the above. This is an essential part of the process where most fail before they start. You must complete these lists you're creating and address the weak points people point out. And most importantly, you must solve the problems you're griping about, or else you will fail. Are you part-time or full-time? Create a schedule of 20 hours for 3 to 5 days or 40 hours for 5 to 7 days for creation, marketing, client follow-ups, events, self-care, sociology, education, reading, research, classes, mentors, practice. Assess the general amount of time it takes you to accomplish your current workload, then schedule this in your week. Be the first person you hire hourly by giving yourself a work schedule every week, every month. Your business fails when you need to fire yourself, so be your best teammate. Set your 28 weekly goals. This is how you'll set up your goal list. You'll be writing 4 goals each day to progress your career for 7 days of the week. You can do this before you go to bed so you can dream solutions to your goals and wake up ready. Waking up is too late to set goals for the day. While this works for some people, you must utilize your dreams and thoughts to create solutions from this point forward. If you master this alone, you'll find success in anything you do in life. Mastery over the 28 goals is mastery over yourself, your discipline, and your time management. Use them to build your life up. This quickly translates to 1,456 goals accomplished by year's end. Multiply that by your currently hourly wage, and that's how much extra income you can potentially earn at your level. If you can improve your quality of work, you can set your own prices for projects or hourly work. When your quality of work times problems you solve reaches 70 an hour, you'll be making $100,000 a year off of a minimum of 4 hours. When your quality of work times problems you solve, when your quality of work times problems you solve reaches $70 an hour, you'll be making $100,000 a year off of a minimum of 4 hours a work day outside of your day job. Stages of progression. Stage 1. You're interested in having your own business. You might have an idea, but no further ideas what to do from that point. You have no infrastructure or software. All you can do from this point is learn, create, and try anything to see what works. You're not able to monetize your craft because you're developing it. Stage 2. You identify yourself within your side hustle. You haven't yet dedicated your 1,000 hours into mastery, but you're on your way. You have great passion, progress, and you're probably earning some money for your services, but you lack the discipline, consistency, and more than likely still have a day job that dominates your efforts. Stage 3. You're a professional with a solid schedule, daily goals you accomplish. You perform at a higher level and engage consistently with your clients and fan base. You no longer have a hobby, a passion, or idea. You have a career that you've crafted with hard work and wisely used hours. Stage 4. You've taken the time to analyze your results, improve your career, and have others underneath you that you've hired to automate your business. You no longer have to keep motivating yourself to find time because you've built a lifestyle around your craft. People seek to learn from you, and your business pays for all your bills. Invest or advertise consistently. You must reinvest in yourself. You must invest in yourself, but you must reinvest in yourself. That's not written down. This is an author's note. I'm letting you know. You must invest in yourself. You must reinvest in yourself. However, to the misfortune of many, Facebook works harder the more money you put into it. You can use Instagram, Google AdWords, Facebook, Taboola, buy flyers to hand out directly. No matter what platform you choose to use, then you must schedule at least monthly to pour some money into paid advertising. This can greatly expand your base, open up new people to your product, or simply invest in your education, aesthetic, or infrastructure. Every month, try to invest money to building yourself up. Create greater content. I've already stated this repeatedly. High quality content matched with relevance to your niche will drive you to success. I've already stated this repeatedly. High quality content matched with relevance to your niche will drive you to success. If you don't have the results you want, it's because your content isn't good or doesn't match your niche. A bi-weekly or weekly $10 Google AdWords video campaign won't fix you having bad content. Videos, however, are the best way to promote and convey your projects. However, it takes time to make great videos. To your benefit, you can create videos using iMovie or Windows Movie Maker entirely from images with a voiceover, and this will create great success. You can create images in Canva that'll set you apart from the other accounts in your niche just for posting. Ensure that every week or every month you're studying the content that you personally love and ensure you're replicating the same styles with your own flow. Social switch. Believe in the compounding effect. A little every day builds up. 20 minutes of social media, texting, or calls becomes a lot over a week, let alone a month. Utilize the normal time you spend on social media or socializing to your actual benefit. Don't just rush through things liking everything. Comment why you like the content. Start conversations. And again, you must use social media as you would any other medium. Reflection. Weekly and monthly reflection to adjust your stressors, plans, and celebrate your progress. And make sure to reflect in solitude and celebrate with others. This is a major key. Figure out what's working and what's not working. Go through your journals and highlight the tasks you keep forgetting because these can honestly revolutionize your efforts. You must keep moving forward, yes, but you also must look back as well. All you know has gotten you where you're currently at. We don't know everything. Take your time to realize how what you don't know is affecting you. Let's get it. Challenge. Utilize the next 30 days to revolutionize your marketing efforts. Follow me on Instagram and stay in touch with your progress. Apply the 16 ideas given every single day. Grow your content to 500 new followers, if not even more by the end of this month. If you have more questions, contact me directly at offeredfc@gmail.com so I can find the answer for you. Let's reach 10K and start an engagement group. Passion. Question 1. How do Dereck and Amelia differ in their perspective on finances? Question 2. Why does this affect their relationship? Question 3. Should Amelia and Dereck focus on their finances first or their relationship? Why do you think? Question 4. Why was Dereck wrong in this chapter? Question 5. How is Dereck right in this chapter? Question 6. Why was Amelia wrong in this chapter? Question 7. How is Amelia right in this chapter? 8. What truly raised the money for rent? How could this have worked better? Thought. Question 1. What was the actual issue Dereck said he's facing? Question 2. What is Dr. Huxley's advice? Question 3. Why do you think Dr. Huxley avoids Dereck's emotional trauma? Question 4. Do you agree with Dereck or Dr. Huxley? Why? Question 5. I do understand Dereck's story seems very extreme. However, many people do suffer deeply for starting a business. What are 3 things one can do to be successful in business? Question 6. How many people succeed? Do you think luck or character makes a successful business owner? Do you think luck or character makes a successful business owner? Question 7. Why is it good to have a stable job? Question 8. Why is it good to have a 5-year plan? Question 9. What are 3 long-term goals you hope to achieve in 5 years? Question 10. What are the actual steps to achieve these 3 goals? Write them down and print them out. Question 11. What are 5 midterm goals you can accomplish in 2 to 3 years? Question 12. What are some daily 20-minute actions you can take to prepare yourself to become it? Question 20. What are some daily 20-minute actions you can take to prepare yourself for becoming the person necessary to achieve your 5-year plan? Question 13. Schedule your week around these 20 minutes first thing in the morning, and in the afternoon, during lunch, or after work at your stable job. Action phase. Question 1. Write down a 10-person support system. Question 2. Call them each over 10 days or 1 day. I'm learning how to love myself and better love others. I wanted to know if you could check in on me a bit more. Don't be worried, it's for a book. Question 3. If you have a business, write a list of 10 people who have pain points in your industry. Write your own opener or be natural. Question 4. If you have a project, write a list of 10 people. Be very specific about what you're doing with the money. Be very specific about what you're doing with the money and how this will add value to their life, your community, or to advance a field, and then ask for donations. If you have a family, write a list of 10 relatives and take the initiative in having a family gathering. Maybe invite your favorite relatives for this one. Listen to the still small voice in your conscience. Execute action. The only way to not fail is to never try. You must understand the only way to succeed is to never give up. Pace yourself according to your own style and your own goals. High performance phase. When you begin jogging, things begin to be very difficult. Over time, however, you find your groove. You challenge yourself to see how far, how fast, or the sights your feet can take you to see. Stagnation prevents this because the task of starting seems too difficult. Activity 1. Budget utilizing food, shelter, transportation, debt, or savings. That's it. See how much more money you never knew you had. Activity 2. Make one very hard decision of an expense or vice to give up for 90 days. Activity 3. Make a second very hard decision of not eating out for 210 days. Buy groceries or use a grocery delivery service. Cook at home. This is the cheapest, most time-effective, healthiest activity. Sit down and get to know the people you live with. Please, cook at home. Activity 4. Make a third, very hard decision of using the rigid Dave Ramsey method to get into good standing with your debt and your finances. Step 1. List your debts from smallest to largest regardless of interest rate. Step 2. Make minimum payments on all your debts except the smallest. Step 3. Pay as much as possible on your smallest debt. Step 4. Repeat until each debt is paid in full. Activity 5. Resume your life as usual, repeating as often as needed until you've achieved your financial goals. You're sitting upon knowledge, a skill, a talent, or a vision that's very valuable. Money comes, barter is better. You should use this to help other people. Activity 1. Donate your time to helping others when called upon. Have a reputation of being timely, reliable, and trustworthy. Activity 2. Donate your unused clothes, food, monies, or volunteer to a charity. Activity 3. Assess all your assets, incomes, expenses, list everything. Spend a day at the library, coffee shop, bookstore, or under a tree in your backyard or park. Get out of your normal headspace and focus on this one. Activity 4. What is tax deductible? what tax form is associated with it. Go to www.irs.gov to find out. Activity 5. Invest in a professional to do your taxes if you're not willing to become a professional. You can go to H&R Block. You can go to a local tax services or financial services representative in your neighborhood. If you live in the hood, there's definitely some of those. You can go to chambers of commerce meetings and get a membership, and then ask the local businesses at your chamber of commerce, like, who does their taxes for them if they hire an accountant. Network with these people. Get their business card. Talk to you about your families, your special interests. Like, make these your friend groups. Network with these people and ask them for information about taxes, businesses, CRM platforms, POS systems. Treat this like you're asking who does their hair. Make that your new normal. This has been absolutely lovely. Well, there's still more to go. There's still a lot of action to take on your half to achieve your goals. And we're working on building a functional system and managing your debt. However, all that separates you now is action, forms, and time. Be patient. Enjoy the people around you. And enjoy your community. Money is focus times energy over time, so spend it wisely in your actions. Thank you for reading my guide to a wealthier, healthier, more successful life. The community. Good to see you again. Join me for my monthly 5-day and 10-day wealth, health, and success challenges to lock in as a community. These are very intense and interactive challenges requiring you to get outside of your comfort zone and to overcome your limiting beliefs. Join the Facebook group at Wealth, Health, Success Challenge on Facebook. LinkedIn group, Wealth Health Success Challenge on LinkedIn. That's bit.ly, bit.ly/WHS Facebook, or bit.ly/WHS LinkedIn. You can join our email list, noveleden.mailchimpsites.com. Buy 50 books, send it to your family members, and we can make that a real website with an actual URL. If you want to connect with me further, then just join a group, join the email page, and let's take the challenges together. Let's work together to build you a better life. Stay tuned for any updates through emails or any offers. It's been an absolute honor serving you, Daryl Omar.